Creek is there's no such thing as ghosts, there's no God, and the Bible is a lie. Off to Helltown to find out what the government's up to in the middle of fucking nowhere, Ohio. Hell yeah, bumping out here. Can I get some of this safety herb in my lungs, please? And thank you, are welcome here. Jake, you can't have any because they drug test. Yeah, if you go to work, man, you're gonna get drug tested. Jake, you son of a bitch! You get out here! Hey, Jake! Ain't coming. He ain't coming because he's afraid of me, Brian Quinby from Street Fight Radio. Brett, would you like a shot at Jake?
Yeah.
I just fell in a hole. That was Jake. That was all Jake. I think we found the ghost. Jake won't let you see your mentions. He's like, don't look at your phone while you're at work, motherfucker.
Oh my God, have you heard the news? Kids are dying of Kratom.
That's not true.
They're injecting it into their veins.
I don't think that's happening.
An ABC Action News exclusive. A mom says a popular herb killed her son.
The most recent death happened in early June. Kratom, also known as metrogenine, was one of 4 drugs blamed for his death.
This was like the devil's drug.
It really is just a green powder that makes people feel better.
Yeah, it's a leaf. It grows from the ground, you smash it up, you make a tea out of it, you throw it down the back of your throat, you eat some capsules, and you feel better, your mind's clear. And most people that use Kratom don't have access to healthcare or prescriptions or any of that regular medicine stuff. They get it from local stores or online.
Let's do an example here. You're a young person, you don't understand how all this works, so let me explain this to you. When you get hurt in your older age, let's say you're 34, you work on a roof, you fall off and you crush your fucking heel, right? It's all shattered. The doctor 10, 15 years ago was like, that's fucked up, that really hurts. You're gonna need some opioids to kill that pain. And then the DEA says, no, you can't have those anymore. These doctors have to tighten up their prescriptions. And now you don't have any, you can't afford them. What do? You can take Kratom. It has the same effects, it's less addictive, and it's more gross. So that even brings down the use. You're not gonna use it as much. Kratom kills the pain in your body. It also cures social anxiety.
The government's solution to stuff like this is always prohibition, which means putting more people in jail.
How big is your appetite for the war on drugs? I'm sure it's small. It's shrinking every single day. Don't let them continue it. Don't let them outlaw more stuff.
Good point.
Thank you. How many times have you gone into work and then looked at your boss and said, what are they doing? You ever think about the levels at a job, Brett? Of course, the people on the very bottom. What do?
Usually clean.
Yeah, and then there is the people just above them. They're the ones that do the second hardest job at the place, right?
Deal with customers?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's another level above that, and that's the manager that's in the place. Now let's think about what comes after that, right? You might have a guy named like Glenn that comes to your office every 6 months, and you have to lay out the red carpet for Glenn. Think about what the person above Glenn does. Jerry is the person above Glenn, right?
Okay.
His job is basically going to lunch, right?
Yeah, powerful meetings, shaking hands real hard.
We're gonna go up to the CEO now. The people that sit around a table and who knows what they're doing? Nobody knows what they talk about.
Playing cards.
What connection does that person have to what you do and what the customer gets? It just seems like you could really chop like 5 or 6 levels off of any job and the company would still run perfectly.
Think about your job. Now imagine your manager isn't there. How much smoother would your day run?
I mean, how many of you work a job where you don't even know who the fucking CEO is of the company? That means they're absolutely useless. They are just They're parasites.
They're on the top, getting most of the money, sending their kids to private school, driving the fanciest cars, and they can't make a sandwich. Every new level of hierarchy is more money coming out of your paycheck. Unions are fucking great because it's not HR.
You need solidarity with the other workers. We need to use that and exercise that. You and your other workers are the most important people at that company. I mean, hell, the way I think about it, maybe you don't get a union at all and you just take the whole company away from the bosses, and that's called a co-op.
For the almighty dollar, everyone's a slave. Cause what's the point of doing shit if you ain't getting paid?
You know, you probably hear people constantly talking about this horrible thing called capitalism.
I have.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Yes.
You're like, what? How does capitalism affect me? I will tell you, it runs your entire fucking life. You've probably heard of socialism or communism. Communism! And they say, they try to control your entire life. Your whole day is taken away from you. What control do you have over your day now?
Most people have to be chained to a desk for 40 hours a week and they're not allowed to leave.
When you wake up in the morning and you feel like shit and you have to wipe the sleep from your eyes and like look around and be like, why does this have to happen this early in the morning? That's a capitalism.
And it controls everything, like your healthcare, your education. It all comes down to making money, but some things just don't make money. Honestly, ask yourself, how afraid are you of getting an injury and how that could possibly fuck up your life?
Yeah. You're being stopped from skateboarding, breakdancing, doing anything fun, because if you get injured, you're fucked forever. You can't go to work.
And so then you have all these people that say, well, we can make a kinder capitalism, a more conscious capitalism. It isn't gonna fucking happen. We need anarchy, we need socialism, we need communism, we need anything but more capitalism.
But wait, Brett. When you go to the grocery store, you have almost unlimited choice. You can buy 100 different types of cereals.
All made from the same stuff with different graphics on the outside.
All corn. It's basically just a bunch of boxes of corn.
That's capitalism.
It actually treats about 1% of the population like humans, and the rest of us like tools for those superhumans. You don't have any money, your bank account's low? I know where the money is. Jeff Bezos has it, the Waltons have it.
And they took it from us, right?
They took it from us.
We're just getting our money back.
Yeah, your work made that money. You deserve that money. That's your money. The 1% has never decided to do the right thing. That's why we have to take power and just spread it out among the 100% of people that exist. Can you imagine being that sensitive? Like you,
well, that's
like
what
that
they're
is the
PC as
ultimate.
hell. Hey, you know what? This is the freest goddamn country, and it's so free that if you don't stand up, you aren't a free person. And goddamn it, boy, if you don't stand up right now, you ain't free. Because you have the freedom to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, I have the freedom to make you feel bad for doing the freedom. Just get up and say you love it. Just get up right now, Copernic. God damn it. It's so free that you can't do it. You have to. It's free because there's only one way to be. That's why it's free. So be that. Damn you. They don't have anything to live. I mean, their kids hate them. They don't have, all their money got stolen by banksters and shit. Healthcare's running through the fucking roof.
Polite
It's
about
just
it.
not the polite way to have sex.
That's just
I-
really one way to have sex that's polite, and it's to say, ma'am, or sir, or non-binary person, would you like to enjoy some making love with me? And then if they answer yes, then you mount.
Hey everybody, welcome to Street Fight Radio. We're here. Sunday night, time for a street fight. We're ready to take your calls. The number to dial is 614-655-3887. We got some room right now, so if you want to get in, please jump in right now. It's time to do it.
We are your number one anarcho-comedy radio show on any station across the nation. And we do this every single Sunday night. We take calls from workers, from anybody trying to make sense of the world around them. We're looking for drug stories, military recruitment stories, bad bosses, small business tyrants, really anything of interest. You're welcome. This is an open line for the street fight community to let us know what's going on. My name is Brett Payne. My co-host is Brian Quinby. We've been doing the show for 9 years, and professionally, we've been doing it for quite a few now. I recently got some DNC highlights from 2016, almost 4 years ago, with the first live show we did with Chapo back in Philadelphia. So it's been a while, and Brian and I don't get to go to work as much as we used to, so we like to hear from the community to know what's happening out there in the world. You can also find more of what we do every Wednesday night when we do the Basement Street Fight, where Brian and I just talk shit about the world and mostly Mike Rowe. But also, we answer questions and we cover any stories you may have as well. For those of you that like the written word, you can always send us any info to streetfightradio@gmail.com. And we will answer your questions on the show. You can watch us on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, or just listen as a podcast. Podcast subscribers, you got that bonus show earlier this week with Tommy Franklin, the documentarian out of Minneapolis. So, that is a reason to subscribe to the podcast. You might miss out on some audio content, but, most of it is happening on the stream these days. I feel like I'm talking forever.
I don't think so.
When the song runs out, I'm like, shit, I have more to say, but
I think it was like 2.5 minutes or something.
I think we're good. We did some bonus content for the feed. The first episode of 100 Million Tons of Steel with Minion Death Cult is out. Hi-Fi Friday is here.
People liking that episode, didn't get mad so far. Haven't had any angry metalheads.
It's important.
I listened to it today just to... Anytime I do a mini-series, the mini-series thing has like really skyrocketed the amount of my own self that I listen to, because, when you're switching the format of the show every 5 or 6 weeks, you probably should listen to the first episode, maybe the first 2, and see what it sounds like.
Know what's going on.
Yeah, so I listened to it today and I was like, we were okay. I mean, people expect a deep dive for everything I do now. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll be like, I'm doing Holy Boys. Oh, a deep dive. It's like, no, it's just, I promise you.
How deep are we supposed to go? Like, just read Billboard charts and shit?
Well, I think the thing is, like, I don't think anybody's saying this. I just am very conscious of the idea that, like, because my buddy Mike Spears from the Everything Elite podcast is a huge doom metal fan. And he said, thanks for doing it. I love that episode, and I thought it was really good. So that one made me feel good. So listen to Everything Elite, because they have a real nice...
They make you feel good.
Yeah, they make me feel good. I also do their show a lot, so that's another reason to listen. Gwen, school, not going. We're online only.
They made the announcement?
Yeah, didn't find out till last night. I was reading the news, which I don't do.
You don't read the news?
But last night I got so much news information. I'm over here earlier telling Brad about the news, which I never read the news, dude. I get all my news just scrolling through the timeline.
You mean like local news?
Like I was on Google News, scrolling through, reading news stories.
Right, like it's the paper.
Like it's the paper, yeah, because I didn't want to go on Twitter, because I have this thing about reading. Twitter is a lot different than reading a book or the news or a long read or something like that, where it's like with Twitter you feel like you don't feel like you have to, but you can engage with the stuff that you're reading. So you there's a certain amount of like self-inflicted pressure when I'm on Twitter to like be a part of whatever the conversation is. Whereas if I'm reading news stories or if I'm reading a book, it's passive.
It's one-sided.
I can't... it's like somebody's telling me something, So I'm reading the news yesterday, and the two things I found, one was that they moved my daughter's school to online only, which I'm going to bring this up. So there was a meeting on July 22nd, where they made the decision they were going to go back with a tiered system, okay? And it would be this weird, there were two choices. You could go back, which would be a tiered system. If you went back to school, it was either online only, hybrid, where people go in at different times, or full on school. Or you could choose online only, and you had to choose that and then stick with it for 9 weeks. And then you would have a chance to, every 9 weeks, you would have a chance to go to the other system. Yeah. Okay? And I was disappointed. I was very disappointed because the school district that we moved our daughter into is not one that, it's not hurting for money.
Yeah.
It is a liberal kind of suburban enclave in downtown Columbus where you would assume they would be making the decisions that you would want them to make. You know what I mean? Like, it's what I thought. I thought that because when I look at people on the left, I see people making very responsible decisions about this kind of stuff. Like, we need to stay home. You know what I mean? So I just extrapolate that to liberals, which is always the wrong decision, but I do it, you know?
Yeah, I think the problem is, I mean, I was happy because I'm Columbus Public, and like when they laid the numbers out, they're like, there's 50,000 students and like fucking 9,000 administrative people. There's no way we can mix y'all up together and have it make sense.
Well, that's...
And I thought, I was really happy that they came out and didn't like kick the can down the road. I think what you have in these smaller districts is that people think that they can clean good enough. People think they can clean good enough to go to school.
Yeah. Well, and I think like something that was getting to me more than anything was like this idea that, because what they were doing was by offering the online, they were offering a choice.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think personally that this is an individual choice that they're making. I think that when the outbreak happens, it will 100% be because of the school, the place where all of the people are gathering and then going and being among the other. Like, how do you enforce like an NBA style bubble on a school? You can't do that. So it like wasn't going to work at all. There was no way. And I was very disappointed that they did this. And the other thing they did was last week they sent out an email that said, hey, you know, we're seeing some people pick the online, and we just want to tell you it's going to be really hard to get help for your kid from the teacher on the homework. And, you know, we don't know if they're going to be able to like give them the amount of time they would need to help them. So if you think they would have trouble, you should send them to school. And it's like, so you're like pushing them to go to school. Like, I don't want my kid to get a half-assed education. I don't want my kid to not have access to a teacher, you know? And they were like, oh, yeah, it could be a couple days before you could talk to a teacher. They're not going to have office hours because they're going to be teaching regular classes.
Yeah.
Okay?
They're supposed to teach regular... We've had teachers write it into the show, and they say, yeah, you're supposed to teach regular classes, also do an online education, and also... sterilize the whole place.
And this isn't something I'm blaming the teachers for. This is the school board making this decision. So then, yesterday, they have another meeting, and they decide we're going online only. And all I can think is, what are you saying the online sucks?
Yeah, you already...
You just tell us that, like, if you do online only, it sucks.
It's like when you're going to buy a car and they're like, oh, this one's fucking great. You don't want to get like a Hyundai or something. And your credit isn't good enough to get the car. And they're like, Hyundais are great cars. Yeah. They just pivot into like, I mean, sometimes you can shine shit into a diamond.
I was just like, look, I'm glad they took the choice away, but it is kind of funny that you just spent last week telling us how shitty the online was going to be and then moved it to online.
Well, I mean, maybe I guess it'll be better with the teacher focus doing it. I can't imagine them being like, I mean, you expect somebody to show up and do 3 shifts of 3-hour schools and then also have time for to read your kid's paper and emails at the end of the day?
Yeah, they're also interestingly enough, they're not closing the school. All right, so the teachers will have office hours, which I think makes a little bit of sense if you keep the teachers in their rooms,
Yeah.
they can do office hours and have the students come in sort of one at a time.
Yeah.
to
that
meet
okay.
them,
I'm
like
with
in
it.
college.
Yes.
Right?
I get it. Yeah.
So they are talking about that. And
Also, just like, man, I would just want a place to go to where you only have to be there for your work and leave.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I think that's the biggest problem with the working from home is my wife has had like anxiety attacks at like 11:59 and been like, I don't have enough hours for the week on like Friday night. And then on Monday, she'll be like, oh, LOL, I worked 49 actually.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that stuff adds up quick.
Yeah, Katie's the same way. Katie works her fucking ass off like crazy. It's like the same way me and you complain about, you end up just working all the time. That's how she is, man. She fucking just works the whole day and all day and all night, I'll be getting a hold of her at 7. She's like, oh, I'm just about to shut down. And it's like, dude, you started at 9.
yeah, you got up before me.
Yeah, you were up like 4 hours before I got up. And it's like, what are we doing here? But like, and salary, like maybe here's an idea I've just come up with off the top of my head. Now that most people are work from home, or a lot of people are work from home, we make salary illegal. You got to get paid by the hour now. Because companies are totally taking advantage of it. From what I'm hearing from my wife, it's like she goes into work and they're complaining about efficiency like crazy. They're like, oh, you're going to work from home now, even though that is bad for the company and bad for us, and you're not getting enough work done.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are they gonna now they're sitting at home like, well, if I don't fucking work 11 hours today, then they're gonna fucking lay me off and I'll be gone.
Yeah, that is a fucked up system.
It is. That's what they say to them. They're like, they say we're not getting shit done. It's not efficient and stuff is happening slow and we're losing some money. They're still very profitable. The section of the place that my wife works is the only profitable section in the entire company. The other ones are like loss leaders. So like she's relatively safe in any way that you can be safe in sort of those, kind of positions where they could say we're laying off 500 people and you're one of them.
Yeah, a new director comes in and you don't know who's safe anymore.
Yeah, but yeah, they keep telling them like, yeah, man, we're not getting shit done, and the bonuses probably aren't happening this year and stuff like that. So I think they're just busting their asses because, they're just keeping them on their heels. They just make you think you're fucked,
Shot Gaming in the chat. This is fucking hilarious. They said salary is bad. I'd rather be hourly. We had a term in video game production called sourly, where the people who got promoted to salary still had to stay around the hourly workers who raked in overtime while they didn't get any more.
Yeah.
It's like when you become coach or team lead, now you're sourly.
Yeah. They got my wife like for almost no reason because she doesn't have like a management position or anything like that. She started hourly and they're like, guess what? You moved into salary, baby. And like got very excited. Like she was supposed to be like, yes. I was like, yeah. It's bullshit too.
My wife, she was salary, but they paid overtime. They were like, we pay salary for 40 hours a week, and then anything over that we'll give you extra. But they've rolled that back since quarantine and corona.
Well, that's been something that's also been making me nuts. Is like they are just like using this as a way to take more away.
I don't think it's that nefarious.
I do. Yeah, probably not. I mean,
it's just that we're not set up for this. There's not enough money to go around, you know? And like the people in charge of projects to make money go around there's nothing there.
True.
We're in a very weird situation. Like I'm not trying to defend the small business tyrant, but there is just there's money required. Like the before times, there was a lot of money coming in that you were keeping for yourself or wasting on other shit. And now there's like no fucking money coming in.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is not a good way to do society.
Yeah. So the only other thing that happened, there were two more things that happened this weekend in the news. I wanted to bring up that I read a bunch of Democratic operatives editorials.
Okay.
Begging Joe Biden not to debate.
Begging him not to debate.
Don't debate. Cancel all 3 debates. Just cancel.
Just go with the straight yes/no vote, like
That's
red
it.
blue
We're just
vote.
gonna go with the votes. Yeah.
That's where we're at. I honestly, I had this reckoning where talking down to people that support Joe Biden is stupid, and I don't think that they think he's the change of anything. They just want anything but Trump, you know? Like that's what it is. They're like, you can tell them it's bad, but it's anything but Trump for everybody.
Yeah.
I was down over by the river and I saw a fucking sign, rainbow, said riding with Biden. And he was in a convertible turned to the side with Technicolor sunglasses on and was just like taking off into the distance like he had just punched it. Like fucking about to stab off into the distance.
How funny would it be to change that to hiding with Biden and
Yeah.
have him like peeking around a tree? Because that's what it feels like he's doing.
Have you seen the Settle for Biden people? Do you know if that's real?
I don't think that's real.
You think it's a fake?
I think everybody thinks it's real. I'm probably like in the minority of people who I think
It's a work.
Well, yeah. It could be. It's tongue in cheek no matter what.
I think it's agitating.
Jokey no matter what.
It's good.
Yeah,
I think it agitates in the right direction.
Well, it's just saying, but it also is pissing people off too. I mean,
That's
if
good.
you look at the comments on their posts, it's like people are pissed off about the fact that it exists, which I think that's really cool. You know, like where they're like, we shouldn't have to. Oh, now you're saying settle? It's like, what the hell, man? It's not settling. This is Joe Biden. He's an accomplished politician.
Yeah.
Okay.
Riding with Biden.
Yeah, hiding with Biden. So, and then last, but Biden not debating seems bad to me. I feel
that's
like that
absurd.
seems like a bad choice.
I mean, part of the street fight before we had our theme song, our original intro was a bunch of highlight clips with a music bed. And I think I famously said that there should be a bar at the State House, and anybody that's a legislator should feel comfortable enough walking past a bar of their drunkest constituents and be able to ride that line. Like, if they tear you apart, I feel like that's your problem.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where we're at with this, is like, sorry, Joe, but if you don't got a fucking backbone and you can't talk shit, like, I don't want you to be. You don't need to be a candidate. Like,
they can.
The presidents were like slapped each other's in the face with gloves and did duels and shit.
Yeah, and nobody can. They're acting like Trump because they're like, Trump's just going to go out there and lie, and it's like, the motherfucker then lie.
Say he's lying.
Like, no president. Every president has lied at these things. That's what it is. It's a fucking where they go and lie to us.
It's a lying competition.
That's what a debate really is.
It is.
They go on stage and they fucking lie and they say, wouldn't it be neat if we could do this?
Yeah.
You know?
They lie the best.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah, and that's all it is.
It's hard to do. It's hard to lie on the spot in front of all of America.
Yeah.
And I think that's a skill that the president should have. Like, I don't think Joe Biden should get out of lying in front of us. Like, he needs to go out there and lie to us.
Yeah, and
he's just gonna, like, do we never get to see him? He's gonna become like a character on TV, like Equilibrium, where they're just gonna fucking deep fake him after he dies, and he'll be just on a video screen like, I'm your president, Joe Biden, and I want you to stop protesting. And there's just gonna be fake video played over and over of him.
It is a fucking weird year. It is such a wild thing that COVID happened in an election year, because it does sort of lend itself to thinking like that he's not alive, that we're like voting for Max Headroom.
Yeah, you know, pretty much.
Like, because he's not around.
I told you, I read this article the other day. It said Joe Biden hasn't been heard from for 28 days. That's how they opened the article. The last time we heard from Joe Biden was 28 days ago. I'm like, dog, I mean, I'm updating like every 28 minutes, 28 hours. If I go over 28 hours, you should check on me. If I haven't updated Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or any of that, like, check on me.
Yeah.
But like, I'm around, and I've got opinions ready to go at all times of the hours.
28 days is some like 1800s amount of time. You know, like, you would understand it if it was like the 1800s and it had to like get the word had to circulate.
He had to get enough stone fruits together to build the energy to write a rebuttal or something.
Or like it was in a newspaper, which then they put on a horse that then went to like another place with a newspaper. And like, because you couldn't just get like newspaper information out there.
Yes.
Like 28 days probably makes sense, you know? But now you gotta, I mean, at least once a day. It's election year.
Get on Instagram Live and say, "What's up? I'm coolin'." Like, just be
chilling in Cedar Rapids.
AOC is on there all the time.
Yeah.
She will just go and have a fucking glass of water with her Instagram people. You don't have to do anything, really.
I know.
And literally the chat is just full of comments like, "This is fucking flames, dog." Like, she's tearing it up. Like, people are just there, and he's decided that he doesn't want to debate.
Yeah, it's just very strange to me. I really...
But it is their constituency. Scared people that don't want confrontation. Like, that's who they're going after. Someone... And that's how we're in this situation. The Republicans get to tell everybody they're not allowed to be fucking gay. They're not allowed to use drugs. They're not allowed to be poor or black or whatever the fuck it is. And Democrats just sit down and say, okay, I don't want to fight or anything. I don't want to get into a debate about that. You know, geez, if you feel so strongly, I guess we should just only fund abstinence only in the schools.
I also do feel as though I could debate Donald Trump. I think I could do well against a guy like him. They're like, I don't understand why they're so freaked out by the guy. Like,
he's a winner.
He won. He doesn't seem like a winner now. Like, he's not impressive right now. He's on the ropes. So I don't know. I'm not intimidated by him. I wouldn't be intimidated by him. I don't fucking understand why they're so intimidated by a guy that is so clearly like. I do feel like Bernie Sanders could have beat him in a debate. I think he would have been fine. I think almost anybody else, with the exception of Elizabeth Warren, that was running, would have done, and Pete. Okay. Almost none of them could, almost no Democrats could beat him. So I guess there's that. And the last thing before we get to calls, they're getting rid of TikTok. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, really?
He wants to do an executive order to get rid of TikTok. And then Chuck Schumer came out today and said he's in favor of getting rid of TikTok.
Oh, Christ. Really? What happened?
I mean, if both of those.
Is there some sort of Schumer hashtag on TikTok or something?
I think they just. I will never understand how this is different from Facebook and Google, other than it being Chinese.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, that's supposed to be sinister. The Chinese part makes it sinister.
But what are they getting from us out of this?
They know that I claim to be a clean eater, but I use the Taco Bell app 3 times a week. Like, I don't know what information they're going to get. I've had the same password that I use for everything since I was 15, and none of my shit has ever been stolen.
Yeah. I just don't know what in this world people think they're getting from TikTok. Like, I guess, like,
Chinese people are evil. That's really, that's what they're saying, is that you can't trust Chinese people.
Yeah. And they just say the Communist Party of China, too.
Yeah,
That's what they've been saying. They're like, the Communist Party of China is getting all this information.
They're going to register your information and give you free health care if you ever end up in China.
And you're like, what is the information? They should have to tell us what the information is, I think. Like, what is...
The chat is upset. All the InfoSec people in the chat are saying that it's way worse than the other ones, but...
What's the information?
I don't know what the information is.
Is it credit card numbers?
They can see your beehole. They know when you're creams. They know when your creams are for your balls.
But I don't care about that.
They know when you have ball cream.
I guess I don't have OPSEC at all. I'm not an OPSEC guy. Like, I don't have any. Like, I'm sure there's somebody, some pervert somewhere in another country looking at my penis while I'm in the shower because my phone's in there playing, podcasts.
Yeah.
But I just feel like everything that happens on my phone is like... It's just like listening to podcasts and looking at Twitter and grocery lists. And I go on my bank website and I look at the balance and then I go to the calculator and, I figure out where my money is and stuff. It's just, That's all it is. I'll tell you how much money I have right now on this radio.
They have pictures of you weeping after you check your bank account.
Yeah, they probably do have that. Oh, I do this. I do this actually. Here's what I do. People, I've never described this except for anybody but my therapist. Here's what I do. I go like this. I open the app. I look at it. You have to hit sign in now.
Yeah.
And then you type your password on the next page.
No Touch ID?
I credit union. They just the most low tech shit in the world. I just got Apple Pay. It's like, but anyway, so I open it and I'm on that first screen and then I hit sign in now and then I go like this.
You wince?
Probably $600. But that $600 that I'm guessing is like $200 more than I really think I have, less than I really think I have, right?
Okay.
Like, so I think I have $800.
Right, but
I'm saying it's probably $600. So that when I come in, if I have
it's a $545.
Yeah, if I come in and I have $800,
okay,
it's like, oh, I'm doing good, you know? Fuck yeah! And then I fucking log in every time. It's $200 less than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I went, and then I close it, and then I go like this. All right.
You rub your temples?
Well, yes. And then I also go to the calendar to find out, when money's
yeah, that's always good. No, the last week I'm always bummy. Like, my wife is always like, what's wrong? I'm like, there's just not enough money. There's just never enough money. Just never enough. I just want to do the business stuff and I'm held back. There's just always waiting for money. But I do the same thing when I check and but I'll be off. Like I'll be like, there's probably $600 in there, and I'll sign in. It'll be $345, and then I like stand up and I like take my hat off my head, and I'm just like start like, oh shit.
That's how I am too.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we got to do? What do we got to buy? What do we got to buy? And you know what? That is like a whole. Me and you are complaining about this now is so much. I'm glad that it's like this, because before. 5 years ago, maybe even less than 3 years ago, it was like, okay, I think I got $100 in the bank, and then I'd open it and I got negative $135.
Yeah.
And that's like a different thing.
Our bank they switched to this thing where you had until the end of the banking day to pay back any negatives, and they wouldn't give you overdraft fees.
Tight.
So I would roll up at like 1 p.m. and check the bank and be like, we have to get $300 by 6 p.m.
Yeah, because there were so many times. Because like when you think you have $600 but you have $345, there's room to move in there. You know what I mean? Like there's like, you can be like, what can I not buy that has to be bought? What can I push off? What bill can I pay later? But when you think there's $100 in your bank account and there's minus $135, there's no money. There's none. There's nothing to move. There's nothing to stretch.
If you only have $100 in your bank, you don't have anything worth more than $100 in your house.
I still get down pretty low, but I still like. If I get down low, I get down to like $80, which I think is fine if you like, because I just need that to cover the automatic withdrawals that happen every month. Because I don't know what dates they take the money out at all. I have no idea what day Netflix comes out. No idea what day Amazon comes. Like all these companies, I don't know what days they come out at all, and they just surprise me, and like so I like to have enough money that can cover all of those just in case one comes out, so it doesn't overdraft me, but I canceled a bunch of my streaming services too. I canceled New Japan, I canceled WWE. Smart. I canceled a couple other ones, DC Universe, which is gone anyway, but I canceled it. But yeah, I'm gonna get Peacock. I'm going to go ahead and get Peacock soon.
They got that Brave New World on that.
Oh, really? There is something on there?
Yeah, I want to see Brave New World.
Is it good? Are you reading reviews?
No, I loved the book.
I watched Your Highness last night.
That's a bad idea. I never saw it.
Yeah, I don't.
It's good for. It would be my type of movie, but
Katie's like, do you remember liking it when you saw it? Because it came out 2011. She's like, do you remember like liking it? And I was like, this is not a movie I would have watched twice.
yeah.
No, it's not very good. I mean, obviously, like a lot of the jokes are so bad, like, you know,
yeah,
problematic jokes. But that I don't care about really when I'm watching a movie that old. But I did watch it, and I had the first. This is the first time I've thought like, I don't think they can make sex comedies anymore. I think like those days are really over. Like the day of the sex comedy's over. I really don't think you can make those movies with the dirty sex jokes.
What are you, fucking Anthony Cumia or something?
You're
Adam Carolla now?
That is true. You could still talk about BJs and yeah, you could.
Cock Blockers came out, right?
That movie sucked though. It wasn't like very funny, and it probably had jokes in it that were bad.
There's a good, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's going to be a while before Hollywood can navigate like a new sexual comedy.
I could make a sex.
We got to put it on the back burner for a while because there is like, I mean, in the same way of like Blanca when she called last week, there is a rush where everybody's like, oh, like gender equality is solved. Like we can do fucked up things now because everything's solved. And it's like, no, we're not even close to that shit. Like there's still a lot of the movies that are coming out and all of those themes are still shit that has to be like ground into the ground.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's still garbage.
You watch these fucking movies from like 2010, 2011, 2006, and like it's all homophobic jokes. It's like that's 90% of the comedy. And like it's like that, like Superbad, which is a movie I watch with my kid, and as we're watching it, you know, she's laughing at a lot of the stuff, but then she's like, this. I mean, it was like, you know, us watching a movie with like Blazing Saddles and being like, I can't believe they said the N-word in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was just like, what the hell? There's just so much. Every other word is the F slur. They use the F slur so much in those movies. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Yep. Let's get some calls in, man. Maybe somebody will tell us how they can make I mean, you could definitely make a sex comedy. I think I could navigate it. There would be stuff in it that I think would be edgy.
Yeah,
obviously.
It should be.
But like, I think I could navigate it in a way that I don't think I could do it without hurting people's feelings, I think.
Well, I think also, I mean, in the same way that like what we do like pisses off everybody because like our edginess is like disrespecting America and everybody likes it. Like disrespecting like the heteronormative thing will be a huge fucking success. You know, like there's a definitely a way to go after it. There was that thread on Twitter last week about writing about Sex in the City and about how Carrie Bradshaw was a sex columnist that didn't know about foot fetishes, anal sex, blowjobs. Like she was like, she had never heard of any of these very common sexual fucking things to do. You know, like, and they were always like, oh my gosh, he likes ice. He likes ice in my mouth when I give a blowjob. You know, like that was scintillating to them.
I feel like a part of me wants. I guess we could do that at some point on this thing as like a deep dive into like
sex comms.
No, like 2000s, late 90s sitcoms, and like talk about some of the things, like some of the understandings that they had before. Because I mean, really, this is democratization of media. Is really what's happened. Is where it's like, oh, people don't like it when every other joke is just you're gay. That's all it is. It was like back then, nobody was or you weren't able to tell the people that were writing the stuff. Yeah, that was the case.
The breaks.
Yeah, that's all it was. And I think that like, because I don't know a lot. I know that most comedians, even like the super edgy ones, are like, well, if I thought, you know, what I did made people feel bad. Sure. I once heard Jim Norton, of all people, say like, you know, I'm just joking. Because he says some pretty vile shit. Sure. But he's like, he was talking about like the difference between like what he does and like just like having somebody come to your show and like straight up bullying them in the audience. Yeah. He said I remember he said if somebody showed up to one of my shows and they were in a wheelchair, he was like, I would think about that as part of my set because I don't want ever want somebody to pay money and come to see me and have their feelings hurt. Sure. And that's like sort of the way I think too, is like, if somebody says they're offended by something I say, like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So I don't say this word right, but I don't want to hurt a comrade's feelings.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll hurt a conservative's feelings. I'll just call them ugly.
Yeah.
know?
Let's jump on the horn.
Let's do it. Let's jump on the horn.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, this is Tyler from Oregon.
What's up, Tyler? How's it going in Oregon?
Oh man,
with that
I'm an ER nurse, and it's kind of starting to suck. But what's up?
With that cheap weed there, though, you got cheap weed there, so that's something.
It is very much something, and it helps.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Not much. I just two things. I was the guy who yelled "peanut" at John Cullen at your live show.
Hey, he told me and you'll probably hear this, that he thinks that I've slid into the Stefan spot on the POD cast, and I told him it's nothing personal. I don't like to see anybody have fun, so that's why I am like that.
That's totally fair. I've been a nurse for a little while, and I got to thinking about my old jobs and how I really wish I stole more. Like, I didn't do that enough.
Yeah, you can't do that as a nurse either.
No, well, you'd be surprised.
Nurse Jackie. I mean, they probably have the good stuff locked down at this point, right?
They do. I've mostly stolen bleach wipes.
Yeah,
I mean, gloves and cleaning supplies.
Yeah, I mean, gloves, bleach wipes.
You can steal toilet paper from any job you work at.
You're who Trump warned us about. He said the nurses are stealing all the PPE.
Yeah, that's why we're wearing garbage bags now, because we all have it at home.
Yeah.
So I used to work at Sears, right? And, fuck Sears. And I used to, can I tell a story? Is that cool?
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yeah, so when I was, in college, I had this shit boss at Sears named Greg, and he was, this just dickhead. He's like, you got to come in 15 minutes early or I'm counting you half an hour late, that kind of shit.
Whoa!
And
this is the first time I don't think anybody's ever said this on this show, and I've never heard come in 15 minutes early, and I'm counting you a half hour late.
It was all roll call shit where we'd sit there before the store opened. We weren't even allowed to clock in yet, but he'd give you the shit assignments. Because I worked in electronics, but if you messed with Greg, he would make your life hell. So what I would do is we get these old fuckers coming in to buy HD TVs, their first one, and the HDMI cables there at Sears were $40. So me and a buddy bought $6 cables from Amazon. We're like, hey man, we'll hook you up. We'll come install your TV with these cheap cables. You don't need to pay all this. They're going to charge you a delivery and installation fee anyway. Why don't you just throw us $50 and we'll take care of it, even though Sears, the fee was already factored into the cost.
Yeah.
That takes guts, though. That would, because it takes really one customer to act like a freak about it, because I had a buddy who worked at the cable company with me, and he climbed up in this guy's attic, and he didn't want to fuck with the guy's stuff. The guy lived in the country anyway, couldn't get digital cable. Guy really wanted digital cable. So my buddy was just like, hey, I have a friend who does Dish Network, and gave him the card. The fucking guy called work and was like, this guy fucking told me he wouldn't fix my stuff, and then gave me a Dish Network card, and my dude ended up getting in trouble. So it takes one person to get weird about it and just be and just narc you out,
Yeah, I also had a job, my insurance leads job, and one of my friends taught me, if you could just tell sketchy people when you talk to them on the phone, and I would offer to sell them leads on my private time.
Yeah.
I would just print out an Excel spreadsheet and be like, they're going to charge you $1 a lead, but I'll charge you 50 cents off the clock.
Tight.
So that's a good move. I do like this. I do like your I like that you jumped ahead of Sears. Like you were like, well, Sears is going to take a lot of advantage of you, but I'm here to help you out, and you can pay me for that service.
The HDMI the HDMI thing is the best thing to make money off of, because like you could tell somebody, really, you could have gotten away with saying like, hey, I'll sell you this HDMI cord for $40. It's actually worth 120. And made like the profit off of that thing, because a lot of those HDMI cables are kind of, they're cheap, really. If you buy them off of Amazon,
mono price, dude, you can get them for $3.
Yeah, but you can also get them.
All ours from Monoprice.
You got Monoprice, yeah. Because you can also buy them. I used to hook guys' cable up, and they would be like, "Can you believe how good the picture looks?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, what? Like, you know, it's HD, yes." And they would be like, "Yeah, that's a $250 HDMI cable I hooked up there." And it's like, I would just look at them like, that's like not what it is at all. Digital cable works. Digital cable either on or off. That's it. It's either on or off. There's no like tuning the picture up. You know, you can't fine tune it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get caught or anything, or did people take you up on it?
Oh yeah, I made hundreds of dollars doing this. I had a shitty old Dodge Caravan, and we'd bring their TV. Like the cables, I think we spent $40 total in cables and never ran out. But I mean, Sears was marking these fuckers up for like $60, $70.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad about it. Fuck them.
Yeah, that's incredible too. I mean,
you're
just
literally helping the customer out. Yeah,
cutting him out on a delivery is tight. Like that.
Yeah.
That's a move.
The closest I ever got caught was because of delivery. Because, like I said, I had a shitty old Caravan, and it used to leak oil. And it leaked oil in this old asshole's driveway. He called us back out to his house. And he put cardboard under my motor. He's like, I knew it was you fucking guys. And it's like, well, sorry.
Oh, shit.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, you chose to have the delivery service from... Yeah, you're also an accomplice to this.
You chose Scuzzbag Delivery.
Yeah, you could have chose the Sears van that was like ready to go, and they do regular maintenance on it.
I mean...
That was what we did. We were like, fuck off. We got your money. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is like, one time I watched my father-in-law fall for the guy's painting your driveway scam. And it's like, some people are just so fucking cheap, you know?
Re-asphalting your driveway?
Yeah.
But it's black paint?
Yeah, they just paint your fucking driveway. It's like very cheap.
Freshen it up.
It's a move. I mean, if I ever go broke, I'm painting fucking driveway.
I mean, I would paint the numbers on. I think that's a value-added service that's necessary.
Every fucking dude I knew that did that was like...
A pillhead?
On pills. Yes.
Yeah,
every single one.
Every single one that ever offered to do it was like, all right... Here's $20.
Just walking around with a little can of paint, 2 little cans of paint.
I got all the numbers. I got every number.
Well, that's actually really incredible.
I love
it's
that.
Like,
I mean, you're an entrepreneur, dude. Like you literally saw the hole, and I mean, I used to do when I did sales, I was always pretty bad at it. I would tell people where there was better deals. I remember working at the toy store and being like, fuck, these GameCube games are $60 here, but Toys R Us has them for $45 right now.
The car guy tried to fucking do that to me.
Yeah.
The car guy fucking was like, take it to, this other place, and they'll just cut the catalytic converter right out,
Yeah.
Wild.
Well, I mean, I would open TVs, and it's like, oh, I guess this box is open. It's a show model, so that's $200 off if you feel like tipping me or buying insurance, which I get commission from. So that's how I ran that.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you get, that's why I don't like it when a person, I know.
You didn't know they could.
I did. I hate when they ask, because I know that they're not. Because I talked to like a bunch of service workers on the show. I've been a service worker. I feel like the cashier is disappointed in me when I don't buy the insurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to make it about you.
Yeah, we we're trained to give you that look, like, no, it's okay, it's fine.
It's fine. I'm gonna get chewed out by my boss, but you don't care. You don't give a fuck. You're going home with a brand new TV.
It just makes me feel like it just makes me like they're looking at you like, I mean, it could break.
Once again,
it's like
the best one I had, Micro Center. I went to look at TVs and the guy was like, all right, the LG is like $400, but we have Westinghouses for $250 and the replacement plan is $30. So if this thing shits the bed in the next 2 years, like, you just come get a brand new one and you save $100 and some a day. And I was like, all right, that makes sense to me.
God, that's so funny, man. Oh, what a great story. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, can I plug something?
Yes, absolutely.
Your mouth.
Yeah, two things. One, if you're an essential worker, I think you should be stealing from your employer more. And two, I have a podcast called Anamorphing Time, where we read the kid books from the 90s with a leftist take, and we're very disgusting. So
that's great.
Street Fighters, if you like disgusting people.
I loved getting those books from the old that little paper they gave you that you got to fill out. What was that? The book?
Oh yeah, we actually interviewed the guy who did all those covers. And he's fucking nuts.
I just gotta say, I admire anybody who does a podcast where they have to read books.
Yeah.
I always thought the Chapo thing.
Tough road to home.
When Chapo was like, we're gonna do reading clubs, I was like, I wouldn't promise.
Well, I mean, they're made for 8 to 13-year-olds, so it's fine.
Dude,
I'm right in my wheelhouse.
I guess that's true. It's just for me, not like I do not want to deal with. I don't want to read books because me and John have to read Corey Taylor's books at some point.
Cool.
And I'm just like, read a fucking book, man.
I bet that's gonna be fucking good, though.
Have you ever seen the covers for Corey Taylor's books?
No.
Yes, I've Googled them.
Yeah. Brett, Google his book covers. Just trust me on this. It'll blow you the fuck away what his book covers look like.
Oh, no.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for taking my call. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
You're making me hate you?
Yeah. Yeah. You just look at it because me and John talked about this and it was just like, he seems so cool. You know what I mean? And then CMFT came out this week, which is mind-blowingly uncool. Like, just to a degree of which I never thought existed within this guy. I think wearing the mask made you think he was something he wasn't.
Yeah. No, that did
you look
most
at
of the
those
heavy lifting.
Yeah, you look at those book covers and you're like, no, this is... I like the mask version of Corey Taylor.
All right, next call. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Oh, hi there. My name is Brandon. I'm coming at you from Appalachia and the Tennessee Valley.
All right.
And this is my first time calling in.
Sweet.
Thanks.
How's it going?
Glad to have you.
Well, things are going well. Brian, I talked to you a little bit earlier today. I DM'd you on Twitter, and I told you I was volunteering as a contact tracer for my county health department. And I just wanted to, if you guys had, like, any questions about, like, things that contact tracers did, or if you knew anything about what contact tracing is, or like how that's stopping the spread of COVID-19, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Brett, you did have.
You're doing contact tracing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I'm working
paid?
with my county. No, no, I'm actually volunteering right now.
Yeah. That was the big problem I saw. I was like, I would do this for money, but I'm not going to do it for fucking free.
It's sort of like it's kind of counting as like. See, I'm in the middle of my master's degree, so this is like knocking off some like requirements. So, like, yeah. So I mean, I'm getting paid in the sense that like I don't have to stress next semester, but
it's worthwhile.
But yeah.
I mean, I definitely think it's worthwhile, and I definitely appreciate you doing it. I just don't understand how they're not like hiring people to do this stuff. So what state are you in again? Tennessee. So, what is like? Do you get notified of new cases, or are you required to drive to people's houses or call them on the phone? What are you doing to when these cases come up?
So that's actually a really good question. So basically, all the work that I do is just like chilling at home. one of my supervisors, like if someone tests positive for COVID-19, or if a doctor says, hey, you got it, I don't care what the test says, you've got it, you've got all the symptoms, then that gets sent to the health department, and then that gets sent to one of us. And they're just like, hey, here's the case. Someone at the health department interviews them, and then they get basically talk to them and say, like, okay, here's how, like, all right, tell us about all the people you've seen in, like, the past 10 days, any people you've had over at your house or whatever. And those people are called contacts. And so we call it the cases, which are people that have tested positive for COVID-19. So cases are confirmed, and contacts are just people who, you may have, like, seen them at, walked by them or talked to them for a few minutes.
They were around.
And, so basically my job is just to call up the contacts in the cases, basically say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Are you still feeling good? Do you have any of these symptoms? Just, make sure they're doing well. If symptoms come up, then we can, like, say, hey, we're taking you from quarantine, which is like kind of like a light lockdown. And if you end up testing positive, we got to say, okay, we got to put you in isolation, which is basically like, I tell them, like, hey, look, or we're supposed to tell them, like, hey, stay in one area of your house, use a separate bathroom.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, like, how many fucking people are able to just, like, go to, like, oh, yes, let me use the upstairs half bath. Like, a lot of people that are getting this are, like, poor, and they're, so, like, the whole, if someone gets it in the house, it's, like, usually, like, the whole family's exposed.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived on my own for like 7 or 18 years now, and only in the last 6 months do I have an option of, like, using a different bathroom than the other people I live with.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's and what sucks is that, like, I mean, as you know, like, there's no fucking state support, and like and, like, literally Knox County, I used to live in Knox County, but, like, the mayor of Knox County is literally, like, the ex-pro wrestler Kane.
Oh, yeah.
And,
big fan of his
so
work in the ring.
Yeah, so, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So,
yes.
So basically, I call people up, make sure they're doing okay, and once they get out of quarantine, which is, like, it since the day of last contact, it's 2 weeks, say, hey, here's your letter of quarantine, and here's when it ends. And, just make sure people are doing well.
So you give them, like, an official doctor's notes of quarantine that they can give to their employer, basically?
Yeah, so we give them like the official notes that are, like, notarized by the health department.
Okay.
And what sucks is that, I mean, and I guess it makes sense in a way. I guess I can see it from both sides, but they're not legally binding. So, like, basically, if they say, oh, well, screw this, I'm not doing quarantine, then we can't really do anything about it. We just got to say, like, if they say, hey, don't talk to me, we got to say, okay, sorry, sir.
What is the pushback?
So,
I don't know. I've only read statistics and stuff, but it seems that people in the United States are very distrusting of contact tracers and the government in general. And, like, what has been your experience trying to talk to? I mean, you're talking to strangers out of nowhere. It's interesting because you're doing sales. Like, you're doing sales for the benefit of public health and for all of us. And you kind of have to have that skill set where you're friendly immediately and someone wants to talk to you. And that's like, that is a very specialized thing that isn't just good for anyone that can volunteer. Getting someone to put their walls down and talk to you about their personal life and who and where they've been seems like it could be challenging with some people.
It's funny. I have personally only had one really aggressive person, and that was, like, yesterday, and I've been doing it since, like, April or, like, late April or so.
Okay.
Most of the time I just say, like, look, I'm volunteering. I ain't getting paid for this shit. And I'm doing this, because, like, I know people who have had COVID-19, and, I don't want anybody else to get this, and I don't want you getting sick, and I don't want anybody else getting sick. And I always tell them about consent. I say, look, we're protected under HIPAA. We can't share this information unless it's, like, with, like, doctors or you without your consent. And then if you don't, like, usually we do, like, an intake interview, and, like, there's some questions where, like, we have to ask, like, where the home address is, and that's literally just to figure out where to put testing sites. I say, like, look, if any of these questions, like, you don't feel like answering them, like, don't. Like, I totally get it. Like, I don't want you to provide anything that you don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So So I just I make sure I talk about consent. But what's funny is the guy that was aggressive yesterday was the fiance of a case. And the case is super sweet, and I feel so fucking bad for her because she has a lot of issues. Just to put it mildly, it's been really, and she's getting better, but it's just been really hard. But she's been super sweet. But her fiance is a fucking dick.
Yeah.
It's like I call him up and I'm just like, sir, your wife is tested positive, and then he goes, no, I'll tell you what, no, she got a negative test. I'm just like, no, sir, did you talk to her like today? Like they just got a new one in and it came in positive. He's like, oh no, and he's just like coming in super like mean, telling me like talking over me. And so I was like, okay, well I'm not getting any info out of this guy. So I was like, hey, do you, how's Andrew doing today? And they were just like, they're fine. They're fine. They're doing good. And so, and that's not his real name, but, so basically like, I was like, are so-and-so doing okay? So I like talked to him through the wife and that's how I get information sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, that sounds like doing collections. When I would do collections,
it does.
Like you'd have to, somebody is going to put on a big rah-rah, really loud, I'm going to scare you away attitude until you can kind of pierce the veil. Like until you can find a way to say something off kilter or to say something real that doesn't make you sound like a robot. They're just going to treat you like somebody to scream at. And then you make friends. Like I'm good at this type of stuff. Talking to people on the phone and making fast friends out of them. But it is absolutely a skill that is not as easy as just calling somebody on the phone. Yeah, it's I think, and I mean honestly, I've been really thankful to have wonderful people to talk to. Everybody's been super cooperative, except for that one person. Everybody's been super cooperative, and I really like it. I like the fact that and I wish we could do more, and I wish we had more capacity. And it's really heartbreaking. Like the emotional side is really the hardest part, especially when it's affecting like Black and brown families a lot. But like, I mean, shoot, I got friends that have had it, and it's and they're like feeling better, but like they still have some like weird off days. And that's not to say it'll last forever, but it's just like there's still so much we don't know about this disease. Yeah. I think. So before I might sign up. Ahead. I think I'm going to sign up. If I can do it from home and it's not a huge amount of casework, I could talk to people about this. I think maybe. So
I would love you to do. I mean, just so you can tell me what's going on. Because that is a. Oh yeah. I mean, it is like a weird thing because people. There are people that'll probably get annoyed with you.
Yeah, but not all of them.
No, most of them will be nice. I think. Maybe a little nervous. Yeah, I just keep it pro. And most of the time people try to I just talk through text messages, and I just mostly say, hey, if you need anything, let me know. How are you feeling? Good. And it's not terribly challenging. Yeah. But it's also not it's not super invasive either. I do not care where you live. I don't care about your I think people think, I don't know, they get the weird Bill Gates conspiracy thing in their head, and it's just I just want to make sure that you're doing okay and that you're staying put and not infecting anybody else. That's all I give a shit about.
They think you're harvesting this information to steal their identity or something for a bot network.
Yeah, and it's weird too because it's you get a call from an unknown number and you're thinking, it's spam. But if there's anybody listening and you get a call from an unknown number, it might be worth picking up because it might be the health department, and they'll leave a message and they'll usually text you. At least I try to do that so people know it's not spam. Yeah. But just get involved, support contact tracers, learn more about it. And I wanted to plug something from our local community bail fund. Mm-hmm. It's called the El Pueblo Fund. Just look up El Pueblo Fund Chattanooga. And it is it's started by it's organized by different coalitions of unions, teachers, Tennessee United and Caleb are the groups. But basically, El Pueblo Fund helps Latinx families in the community pay for bills, pay off medical bills, food assistance, helps families stay quarantined during COVID-19. And it's a great organization. So again, that's El Pueblo Fund. And yeah, any money could help families, stay quarantined and stay safe and keep good food in the house so they don't have to go out. That is, and like medical bills too, because those seriously pile up, unfortunately. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Do y'all have any questions, or y'all set?
Yeah. Thanks for calling. I mean,
to me.
yeah, that was really cool. I hadn't heard of anybody doing this yet. So it's cool that you're doing it, and it's very appreciated.
Well, I definitely appreciate you guys. I used to work as a lab tech, and I really didn't enjoy that. But like you guys, because like I had some douchebag managers, of course, and that's when I learned about small business tyrants. And I was just like, who are these angelic voices that are telling me about this? and then I learned, and then I became it, and next thing you know, here I am. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We appreciate it. Keep it fucking rocking in Appalachia.
Hey, I will try my best. You too in Columbus.
We'll try to get that. We want to go there as soon as we can get back on the road.
As soon as we have enough face shields and masks.
Yep. That's it. That's what we're really waiting for.
Well, you got some fans in the South, so we'd love to see you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night.
Peace. That was cool.
That was very cool.
It's something I've read about a lot, and I didn't really know. It is a simple thing to do. You're just figuring out who's at risk of being infected with COVID.
Yeah, and I think it would also, make it maybe more real to you. Not that you needed to. Maybe not even more real. Maybe it would help you wrap your mind around it a little bit more.
How serious? Yeah.
Yeah, or even just maybe it'll make you feel better. Maybe it'll help you to wrap your mind around the scope of it in a way that you're unable to when you're just sitting at home reading the news.
Well, like they said too, just being able to have somebody say I need help, I can't breathe right now. Just have someone to check in to say I'm 9 days into this thing and it's going south.
Yeah.
That's a really valuable resource that not everybody has.
Yep.
All right, next on the line. Hope you're doing fine. Thanks for calling Street Fight.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's up? Who's this?
This is David from Tucson, Arizona. I've called a couple times. I'm a teacher.
I'm
going to take you off Bluetooth. Hold on one sec.
Okay. Go for it.
Probably sounds better this way.
What?
They're in their Maybach.
You use Bluetooth. I use Bluetooth too. Yeah. My shit goes out though. Very furious about it.
Yeah, I'm a serious guy. I've got important things to do, so I have to have my Bluetooth on.
Multitasker.
I wish you had one of those ear things that they used to have back in the day that automatically showed that you should hate that person. Remember those things?
Yeah. That's where we're at now.
What?
I don't see how it's any different.
Because they had the thing that went over, and it only went in one ear, and it looked silly.
I think I hate people that have AirPods, though. I know to immediately hate somebody that...
Why?
Because they spent too much money on Bluetooth headphones.
They were?
Oh, no. I have knockoff AirPods. I don't even have an Apple phone. I got mine for $30. They look exactly the same. But yeah, there's knockoffs out there that are good.
Yeah, I almost bought a pair of black ones for $30 just to have a second pair. But yeah, I bought AirPods. Yeah. I can't have my daughter can't have better stuff than me. Okay. It's a whole thing I have going on in my house where it's if she gets something that I think is better than something I have, then I gotta get it. I like the AirPods.
I get that.
They charge really fast, which is nice.
Yeah, I like the whole charging kit. It's nice, but I'm sad to hear that if I ran into Brett, he would hate me automatically. Don't hate me, Brett. I'm probably listening to Street Fight is what I'm doing. So you should not hate me.
That's what I'm listening to in mine too.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't listen to metal at all, but I'm really enjoying the metal cast so far. It's really yeah.
How old are you? If you don't mind
32.
me asking. 32, and you don't listen to any metal at all?
I haven't, but your podcast kind of had made me want to get into it a little bit. I'm going to listen to some of the bands you guys were talking about with the doom metal episode.
Oh, really? If you are an alt rock type indie, and stuff that music, that doom metal is highly respected by those types of pitchfork types and people like that. Because I can't figure it out. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I think the stuff I listen to is the most accessible and easy stuff to listen to.
Yeah.
But I think everybody thinks that about their music, where like I remember when I was like really into garage rock, I was like, they could fucking play this on the radio right now and every single person would fucking like it. That is how it's pop music. It's so good. And it's like, no, that's not like true. People don't want to hear music that sounds like it was recorded in one room and played in the other room. You know?
Right, I get it. What would you recommend if I'm starting my metal journey? What's the band to start with?
Metallica.
Both have different ones.
Why is Metallica really? Like Master of Puppets, I think is.
How much Black Sabbath have you listened to in your life?
Sabbath, yeah.
I haven't listened to too much. I only know like I think the only Black Sabbath I know are actually Ozzy songs. Like I think Crazy Train is that Sabbath or an Ozzy song?
That's Ozzy.
Yeah, I think I know mostly Ozzy songs. So maybe I'll look into Black Sabbath and see what they're all about.
Yeah, I mean, Master of Reality is a really good album to listen to all the way through, but
okay.
Yeah, most of that early stuff is pretty easy to listen to. Yeah, I mean, they're like the beginning of it all. There are other bands, but like that's enough foot in the doorway, and then from there, everybody just made up their own thing.
Yeah, I think really like Master of Puppets is probably like the most metal. Like it's like Pantera is another one that's like very metal, but Master of Puppets is a good choice because it's basically what a lot of it is.
You're saying Metallica start with Metallica.
What?
You think start with Metallica?
I do. I think Master of Puppets is like the most accessible, easy album to listen to.
I guess, yeah, that's the choices. Is like whether are you into people playing as fast as possible?
True.
Or are you into people like doing the slow?
Well,
like Black Sabbath did heavy metal. Their heaviness was how slow and low it felt. It felt like walking through molasses. Like that was the heaviness of
I guess what we're not doing is asking what type of music do you like?
Right now I kind of go through phases. I'm getting out of my, I've been listening to a lot of Run the Jewels lately. That's been like my obsession.
Okay.
But I want to get into metal, and I think I'm going to like the faster stuff initially before I get to the slower stuff.
Yeah, that's Metallica.
Yeah, if you listen to the first couple Metallicas and then like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets, if you never sat down and gave those things a full listen, like everybody that hears them, it just fucking blows their mind. There's nothing you can do but walk away like so overwhelmed and impressed by that stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. I'll try it out then. That's not what I called about. I'm calling about job stuff. But also, you guys should definitely do the 2000s comedy movies podcast because that'd be it'd be really fun to take a look back at and how they've aged in like just 10 or 15 years or whatever.
I mean, there's shit from 5 years ago that would probably shock you at this point. Like,
yeah.
It's pretty wild, like what we thought was funny back in the early 2000s, like, but I still don't think we even really thought it was funny, right? Like it was them telling us.
Well, yeah, and there was a lot of there's a podcast I listened to that started back in 2006, and they said that they had recently found some of their early episodes, but they wouldn't release them, and the reason why was that it was just too ironically racist.
Yeah,
there was a lot of ironic racism, a lot of ironic homophobia. For me, being a young man in my 20s when this stuff happened, there was this feeling of like I don't dislike people, so I can say fucked up shit about these other groups because I don't actually feel that way, and I think that carried on for a while.
Well, let me ask you about like a particular movie because this one is like there's a lot to be offended by, but I personally give it a pass because of the targets of the comedy weren't they didn't have bad intentions, but there's plenty to be offended by. I talk about Tropic Thunder. Have you guys seen Tropic Thunder?
I've seen it. It's been like a very long. It's been such a long time. I mean, there are stuff there. I know the stuff you're talking about. I mean,
the Robert Downey Jr. thing. I don't know how I feel about right now.
Right,
but that's
primarily what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. But In a way, it also does kind of predate woke culture, in that it is a satirical version of somebody thinking that like they're going to do blackface to as like some powerful thing, which was really was the spirit of the time. Like there was a lot of what's his name? Fucking Sean Penn did that Sam I Am movie. You know, that was just and there was a lot of you know, cis het actors that were being other people, and so I don't know. Yeah, I guess
I'd have to watch it again to really know.
I know it's still good.
I mean, no, I don't think it's bad. I'm not like I'm not like going back and canceling it. I'm just but I know there's stuff in it that I found to be very fucking funny.
The Ben Stiller stuff, Ben Stiller stuff, just parody of action stars, I think is great. Like that's something that I feel like we're totally missing, the like parody of machismo, in that like how good they were able to get that across in that movie.
I thought the last time they really did that well was with like the Danny McBride stuff. They do a really good job of like the Righteous Gemstones, Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals. Like I think those guys are like great and very funny.
Oh yeah, and like I mean, like I listen to Chapo too, and they're like obsessed with Danny McBride. They think he's a genius. So yeah, those are really good shows though.
Yeah, I think he's a genius too. I think he does such a good job at like making fun of macho bullshit that
proud ignorance.
Yeah, proud ignorance. Like Eastbound and Down is, I think, really, and like
Foot Fist Way, dog.
Yeah, Observe and Report is another one of those things that has some stuff in it that probably doesn't age well, but is like all in all a really fucking great, funny movie. Like one of my favorite comedies ever.
Yeah, because they really like, and I think it was kind of underappreciated at the time, because I like looking back on it now, like that guy, they nailed that guy, and that kind of guy exists, and there's a lot more of them than we thought. You know what I mean? Back then.
Yeah,
like we know now that like that's like the alt-right guy. Before there was an alt-right, and they nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that movie is one of my favorite. I think that movie will always be funny, and I remember seeing it in the theater and being like so fucking blown away by it, because like it came out. What happened was it came out at exactly the same time as Paul Blart Mall Cop, and people got him confused and thought it was the same movie, and it was just like it's totally a different thing, you know. Very, very wild. I dug that.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I should probably get into what I called about. What did I call about? Oh yeah, you guys were talking about like working before you were like legally allowed to, like by 16 or whatever, or getting jobs before you turned 16.
Yeah.
And my first job, I got my first job when I was 14, and it was this weird workaround in Arizona. But I was a soccer referee for.
I remember that.
There are kids in my neighborhood that are soccer referees.
Dude, there was. I remember being 14. I had a paper route, and there was kids that were going to be umping for the summer, like for baseball games.
Yeah, it was my first job, and like I've had some shitty jobs since then, but like it like scarred me for life. Like just dealing with I don't know, like soccer parents, like that. I know it's a parody, but like they're real. Like I would spend all day like reffing games or whatever, and during the course of the day, at least 6 dads and like 4 moms were like ejected from games throughout the day.
Yeah, they get so tied up in it. You're dealing with their little babies, and like I remember. I absolutely remember seeing. I remember when I played baseball in 7th grade. Our coach got kicked out of the game for yelling at people playing soccer in the outfield, and he called it a bunch of he called it a kids game. He said, "Get these fucking people playing this kids game out of here." And the other team got offended because their parents were all they were all soccer parents too, and they got him kicked out of the game. But he was an asshole. He threw a fit at these fucking guys playing soccer in the outfield, and he was just went on a tirade against soccer.
Called it a kids game?
Yeah, in front of everybody. He was just like stomping on his hat, fucking mad about soccer.
Those guys love to get that mad.
They hate soccer.
They do hate soccer, yes. I don't think they hate it as much now because of CTE.
It's different. Yeah.
And like those guys are all like, well, I'll probably have my son play soccer now. You know? Like they learned a lesson or something. What?
I don't think they learn any lessons.
You don't think that they've learned?
No, I think that they're mad that everybody's shutting down the football.
Well, I feel like football I feel like football's still around. Like they're still playing it, but they shouldn't.
It's on the way out.
Yeah, it is. We're on the end of football. We're on the end. So did you get? Yeah. So you're 14 years old. Are you getting? You're getting screamed at by adults.
Ugh.
Oh, every game, and it didn't matter whether and so I was 14, so I probably made some bad calls, but that didn't matter. I could have made a perfectly someone could have kicked it out of bounds. Clearly, I would have said out of bounds, but if it was these particular parents' kids, I got yelled at, and it was I ref 6 through 12-year-olds, and so I have these 6-year-olds that are playing this game, and their parents are treating like it's the World Cup, like it's insanity.
Yeah, they go so far.
I just want to tell them they're 6.
Working the ref.
Also, I'm 30 something. If a 14-year-old is in front of me, it's and they're the ref. I'm at the mercy of a 14-year-old ref right now. I'm not going to sway the outcome of this game with my anger.
Yeah, they're working a ref that's 14 because they fucking know they can work that ref.
That's true. You feel like you're in trouble for calling. Yeah. You feel like you're in trouble for calling penalties on certain kids.
It's like you should be a person. You should be a person that can handle if you're an adult and there's a 14-year-old that you're dealing with in some kind of in any kind of way, you should always default to not yelling at them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's just
never.
If it's a 14, I know there are so many people that would rather yell at a 14-year-old.
I watched some TikTok video of an adult punching a fucking teenager at a basketball game. Recently, just some parents that get super mad and into it and start a fucking brawl on the sidelines.
I mean, why is it that bad? I maybe it's a competitive league. Were you in a I don't know what they call them, traveling leagues here. Were you in a competitive league?
Nope. It was bog standard Pima County, just our usual season. They weren't going anywhere. There was no state championship. It was just regular game.
Yeah,
every time.
Yeah, just you sign up at the rec center. They find enough kids to make teams to go against each other, and that's the season.
That was my daughter's soccer. Was it was just their coach. My daughter's soccer coach had never played soccer in his entire life. He was just we were who wants to be the coach? And I was I'm too busy, even though I'm not too busy, but I said I was. And then some guy was fuck, I mean, I guess I'll do it. It has to get done. And then he took over and coached, and he had no fucking idea how to play soccer. None.
Yeah.
And it's just if they're not taking it, you can't, when a kid is 6 and it's playing a sport, you can't take that seriously. You gotta not. You just there's
gonna be some stuff that you just kind of roll with it.
They're just running in a field together.
Yeah.
All it really is kids are hanging out running in a field together.
And some of them will find out they have that killer instinct for the sport.
Yes.
That's what they all think. They all think so the goal of the soccer is to get them socializing, which they have accomplished by the time they're playing games. This is what the goal should be. Yeah. But they all think that they're going to raise the next David Beckham. They all think that I knew at 6 years old he was going to play for whoever.
Yeah. I believe that too, cuz I watched people losing it. Okay, so the league my daughter was in, her team was very much who cared? You know what I mean? They were just there to hang out and get snacks.
Yeah, it was a fun team.
You know what I mean? They just wanted to get snacks and shit.
Guaranteed juice.
But when the other teams came in from the suburbs, right? Like out there, Hilliard, for instance, those parents really did. First of all, the wildest thing I ever saw was when those parents came in and one of them had a chair, like one of those fold-out chairs, and it had a bubble around it. And they were sitting like in a fold-out chair with like 4 walls on it. There were 4 walls on it. It was a chair that you folded out, like, and it had 4 walls like around it, so you didn't have to get hit by the wind or anything. It was just like a
Was it a viewing window?
Yeah, it was clear. It was like a clear window, and you just sat
plastic box.
yeah, which is weird. But they did scream at the kids more, and I would see them going around. They would walk around the field to the coach, like
in their ear.
Yeah, I just like
kids sports. It's nuts.
I know.
I'm not invested enough, and I don't think my child is a miracle the way that other people think that their kid is like the next.
You're just lucky you never set it up. You're just a lucky dude that your daughter was into dancing and stuff like that. It's not. It's low.
I want her to play sports. I would love her to play sports, but it's not. I'm not going to force the issue. And also, like, part of playing sports is you have to work with the refs that you're given. Like, you can't always have your mom and dad there changing the rules for you.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter played baseball or softball, and it was like whatever. She didn't really dig it. But yeah, in soccer, I did notice that the refs get worked. They actually had an adult ref in our league, but every once in a while they'd have kids, and I would see the parents like talking shit about those fucking kid. Like, I'd be sitting on the sidelines and I'd be like, this fucking kid doesn't know what he's you know what I mean? Like, just really it's like, fuck.
Yeah, that happened a lot. It was just like and it's funny to, it was especially like just kind of like insane during, like I said, the 6-year-old games. Even them were like it got to the point where I got yelled at so much that like when I was that age, I would fantasize about seeing these parents again when I was like older, and like years later, and like ask them, oh hey, remember me? I refed your game. How's Timmy doing? He must be in like a soccer scholarship right now. Huh? You took that game so seriously. I mean, he must be a superstar by now, right? Like that was like my fantasy. My fantasy revenge when I was 14 years old. I wouldn't remember any of them now, and I wouldn't do that because it was a long time ago. But yeah, it was bad.
No, when you start plotting revenge on people, it makes sense though. Like to be like, remember when you got in my face? Did he end up getting that scholarship?
Yeah. Is he at the World Cup now? Like you thought he was going to be? No, oh, that's weird. All right, bye.
No, he works at the grocery store now. He's a bagger at the grocery store. They're thinking about firing him because he's not good enough to do that. That is very funny. I love this. I love it.
It's tough, man. That's
that's
a job where they're like you get paid $6.75 for all day to do these games on the weekend. Only a kid can like make it work.
What was the money? What was
the pay? The pay was actually so. This is like 16 years ago. No. I can't do that now. 16 years ago. So it was actually pretty good. It was like $10 a game. So it was like $10 for every 45 minutes. Oh. But the problem was that you couldn't. It was kind of a waste of a day because you could only do like a 45-minute game, and then you had to wait another 45 minutes while other games were going on, and then you get signed for the next one. So it was like 45 minutes on, 45 minutes off, but you're not going anywhere.
So you're making like $20 a day.
There's no phone to look at.
Yeah, no, there was no phone. No, you're just kind of trying to avoid getting like sunburnt. Yeah,
and watching like the worst soccer ever played.
Looking out for the parents I would have to avoid later. Yeah.
Yeah. When Gwen played, it was like I was so glad we had phones because like kids soccer is tough. That is that is a tall order. They have no idea how. I mean, I don't know how parents did it before phones. Really, I guess they just stood on the sideline and talked to each other. And
you just talked. Yeah, you just gossiped.
Yeah. Well, thanks for calling. That's very funny.
No problem.
Great call.
Can I plug something real fast?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a podcast too. I know everyone has a podcast these days. My podcast is called Guys We're Screwed. It's me and my two buddies, and we talk about the apocalypse and kind of from a leftist perspective and all the different ways the world could end. There's a Twitter account. There's also my personal Twitter if you want to follow. It's Green Left Arrow.
All right. Well, that sounds great. I love the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's there's lots of different ways. We're about to release a two-parter on QAnon, so that was pretty exciting to do. But yeah, just take a listen if you guys are interested.
All right, thanks for
definitely
calling.
Pro-apocalypse here.
Yeah, we're 100% pro the apocalypse on Street Fight Radio.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It would be great if it actually happened. Let's
rid
do
of
one more, and then we'll. Okay, then let's just hit a break. Then
You want to do a break?
Yeah, let's take a fucking break, my dude.
All right,
it's break time.
This week we have the band Dreadnought. They are out of Denver, Colorado. It's spelled DREADNOUGHT. You can find them at dreadnoughtdenver.bandcamp.com. This is from their newest album, Emergence, and it's dope shit, so give it a listen. You're fine. Hey everybody, welcome back to Street Fight Radio. I hope you enjoyed the music. That was brought to you by Dreadnought. If you're in a band and you listen to Street Fight Radio and you want your music to be heard, it's very easy to do that. Send us a DM on Twitter, send us an Instagram message, email us streetfightradio@gmail.com. Any of those will work. Thank you, Dreadnought. I love that. It's a really good album, and I hope you get some more buys and listens and all that stuff. Please send Dreadnought some love. DreadNought, dreadnoughtdenver.bandcamp.com for that good stuff that you just heard. It's Sunday. We're doing the call-in show. We got a couple to go. The queue isn't too full. It's Racing Sunday. I watched Formula One earlier today. It was a really good fucking race. At the end of it, Lewis Hamilton came through on 3 tires.
Wait, Formula One was on today too?
Yeah, early in the morning, 9 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And then I threw a NASCAR party. Everybody came over. I made runs, and I came so close to winning money on DraftKings. I had fucking Keselowski, Truex, Bowyer, Stenhouse, Bubba Wallace, but I made the mistake of Kyle Busch, who was like the only guy that didn't make it through this race.
I knew his name. I know his name. I probably would have picked him.
Yeah.
I'm big on picking guys whose names I know.
Kyle Busch finishes a little higher than his relative Kurt Busch, which is the Monster Energy car.
Oh,
which is
that's
like
who
the
I would
coolest
pick.
fucking car.
Hell yeah.
He doesn't make it into that 10. He doesn't make it in that top 10.
Yeah.
For me.
I just turned basketball on just to see what it looks like.
Yes.
It looks very weird.
I saw the sidelines. Everyone's going nuts. Like the teams are just like trying to add as much excitement as they can.
It's like Zoom people in the audience. Is
Yeah.
that what it is?
Is that it?
It's what it looks like to me. It's like there's like you can. It looks like an audience, but it's people's heads. It's very strange. I mean, it's so weird doing that all the sports came back, and you're like. The ways that they're like working around it is very weird.
Yeah, the NBA is odd because they're playing in a much smaller place than you would expect, and there isn't a lot of stands. It's just the basketball is happening.
Yeah, that is what's weird about it is that like they're like it looks so small. It like I was thinking about this like what at the end of the year they're gonna do. They're going to do that thing where they show things that happen this year on like New Year's Eve or top 10 stuff.
Yes.
And I was even talking about this to Katie. I was like, what's going to like win Oscars this year? What are the Oscars going to be? There's no
that's
movies.
tough. Yeah. Invisible Man is going to sweep.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Trolls World Tour definitely should get like Best Picture.
Bill and Ted comes out September 1st.
Okay.
On demand.
But these aren't smart enough to like win Oscars.
I know. I don't know what they're gonna do for the Oscars. I don't know how they're gonna do that. And it's just like a really strange. It's like weird to think about. Like, I mean, I guess the thing I'm picturing that they're gonna do is they're gonna show like empty stadiums and empty movie theaters. Like it'll be that thing where like 2020 the world was different, and then like it'll be an empty movie theater, an empty stadium, an empty concert hall, and then it'll be like but we're gonna come back, in 2021 it's gonna happen, we're gonna come back.
Don't they always sandbag the Oscar movies anyways? I feel like October and November there's like 12 movies that I immediately have to see because they're so important.
That's true. But who knows if they're gonna come out? It's so weird that they're not putting movies out like that. Like
King of Staten Island, that'll win, right?
I watched that. Yeah, I actually watched that. It's like I'm so starved that I'm just watching things that I wouldn't even normally watch. Where I'm just like,
How new is that?
King of Staten Island. It's new, so I'll watch that. It's actually pretty good. I enjoyed that one. Has Bill Burr in it.
Yeah, big fan.
Plays plays
dad?
grumpy dad guy.
He's perfect.
Yeah, he is. He's great in it. He's actually really good in it.
I wish
So
he was my grumpy dad.
you do. I mean, no, I think he seems like he would be just as yelly as your grumpy dad. Maybe he's funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Provides a little more levity.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm getting screamed at, I would hope it would be funny.
Yeah.
I hate getting screamed at and it's just screaming. Yeah.
Deflating.
Yeah.
All right, let's get these calls. We got a couple to go.
All right.
Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight? We got.
Hey, what's up, Street Fight? This is Jonathan in L.A.
What's up, Jonathan? How's it going?
Good. You know, I did listen to your new metal show.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, because you were talking about this on the metal show. I'm a metallurgist, and I did some calculations for you guys, and I calculated that 100 million tons of steel is going to be a cube 224 meters on a side.
Okay.
So what kind of volume are we talking about that? What did you say? How many meters?
224 meters.
224 meters on a side for a cube.
Okay.
So the total volume in meters cubed is just that number cubed.
Okay. How many are you?
240
so
meters.
You're calling from across the pond or something? I don't know. We're talking about meters for.
No, he's calling from L.A.
We do feet here.
Oh,
I'll look it up.
734.
Sorry. I'm a scientist. Sorry, those are the units that I use.
Yeah.
A meter is 3.14 feet.
So 224 meters. We're talking about a cube that is 734 feet on each side.
Okay.
Pretty
big. That's a big
224.
That's a huge cube of steel, which is very heavy. It's 100 million tons of it. Yes.
For a fact, it wouldn't even be able to retain its cube shape because the stress at the base of the cube would be so great that it would begin to pool out.
Okay.
That's heavy. That sounds heavy, dog. So heavy.
Yeah, that is heavy.
We chose the heaviest metal we could find.
Yeah, steel. Well, 100 million tons of anything weighs 100 million tons.
Yeah.
But steel is metal.
Yeah.
So we chose what we feel to be the heaviest metal, even though it's probably something else, actually.
What's the heaviest metal?
Lead.
So I don't recall off the top of my head. If you had a table of properties from a chemistry textbook, you could look it up.
Oh.
It might be something like tungsten's pretty dense, right? You're talking about density. So what you're asking is what's the densest metal?
As soon as you start typing what is the heaviest into Google, they just finish it with metal.
Yeah.
And after that, it's dog. What's the heaviest dog after metal?
That is like basically what the internet is for.
Osmium is the heaviest metal on Earth.
Okay.
Twice as much as lead per teaspoon.
Yeah, that's one that's actually very rare. They say that all of the osmium on the planet would probably comprise like a sphere of maybe 1 meter in diameter.
I'm getting an osmium necklace. I'm getting an osmium necklace. That's what I mean.
Osmium Street Fight?
Yeah, that's all I want is an osmium necklace now.
Oh, when Birdman finds out, you're in trouble.
Yeah. He'll get it. Birdman will get it. So what's up?
So I wanted to tell this story, and this story kind of ties into a lot of kind of current events, like what's been going on in Portland.
Okay.
With respect to the federal agents that are kind of flooding that town in order to do I don't know what, suppress all the action there.
Okay.
And so this is kind of, I think, going to be kind of an old man story. So if it ever gets to be like that, just stop me.
Okay. We're both old men, so.
But this is a story that took place in Madison, Wisconsin, back when myself and a bunch of other anti-war folks, this is back in 2004, when we led an occupation of Senator Herb Kohl's office.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know anything about Senator Herb Kohl, but he was a Democratic senator from the state of Wisconsin at the time.
I don't like herbs.
Sorry?
I don't like herbs.
I do. Weed.
For a fact, he was the richest person in the Senate at the time.
Okay. Well,
the richest man in the Senate, and he had voted for the war. And this gets back to what Brett was talking about earlier, where you should be allowed to confront your elected representatives face to face. Senator Cole had this situation set up where you could come and meet him and have coffee with him. It was a regularly scheduled thing in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So we, as his constituents, had no ability to actually talk to him. So we decided we were going to occupy his office.
While he was in D.C.? Or why he
yes.
was... Okay.
And well, we were going to get him on the phone. It actually turns out that's what actually happened.
Cool.
So we kind of just start out marching along, waving anti-war signs. This was like a common sight back then, nothing remarkable. And then as soon as we're passing by the office, everyone who was down for the action just hangs a left and rushes the place.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So the office is empty 1 second, and then 2 seconds later, it's full of a bunch of punks.
Yeah, now there's an issue
And
happening.
they're making noise and going on about how they want to talk to Senator Herb Cole.
Yeah.
And so we're just kind of hanging out doing whatever while his staff comes to terms with their new reality, figuring that like some kind of authorities would show up eventually. We didn't know exactly who. And when the cops came, it was one guy just dressed like kind of like a normal sheriff or like white shirt cop kind of guy.
Okay. The fancy
But
clothes.
all of the patches on his shirt said ICE.
All right, that makes sense.
So, yeah, so this is the situation, is that the Department of Homeland Security was new back then. And it was just a federal agency. It didn't have any kind of like people working for it. So they just moved ICE from wherever it resided originally. They moved it under the direction of Homeland Security. Same way with like the Border Patrol and like the TSA. All that stuff just gets moved under the umbrella of the DSA.
The DHS.
So we
if it was under the DSA, things would be a lot better.
No, sorry, DHS. Yeah, DHS. So it was apparent, like right from the start, that our action was being monitored by the DHS through this schlub that they had just picked out to come and keep an eye on us. I forget what the guy's name was. He was just officer whatever.
Terry,
Officer Terry. And so Officer Terry, right, he's just some schlub who's been ordered to come and keep an eye on us. He doesn't know what to do. And so the first thing he does is he passes around like a clipboard with a piece of paper on it. And he's like, okay, we want everyone to put their names down on this piece of paper. And it's for safety.
Roll call.
Okay.
Right? And so everyone's kind of like, well, we're not going to put our actual names down on a piece of paper and hand it over to somebody from the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah.
So, right? So everyone starts putting down fake names. And so the name I put down, I actually remember this. It was the name of the author of a book I was reading at the time. I put down the name of an English mathematician who was called Augustus Love.
Yeah.
So I put this name down because it was the first thing that came to mind. I had the book there with me. So time goes on, and eventually it got to the point where they were able to get Senator Cole on the phone, right? His staff kind of acquiesced to kind of getting him on the phone. There must have been some kind of negotiation back and forth with Washington. And so he comes on the phone and starts going on about, how he was misled by the Republicans and all this and that. And we knew all that was bullshit, so we started booing, just the whole crowd, just boo, you suck, you're fucking stupid. So we actually had this opportunity to yell at our senator because he helped to start that war.
Yeah, that's
so,
satisfying.
It is satisfying, but so after that point, it's kind of like, his staff were like, oh, how could you disrespect the senator and his office by what you're doing, right? They're trying to make us feel guilty about this or something.
Yeah.
And somebody from the back of the room just yells out at that point, hey, yeah, being occupied sucks, doesn't it? The entire country of Iraq is under a brutal military occupation. There were people dying every day back when this was all going on.
Yeah.
So we got to yell at the guy, and then we were in this position where we decided what we had to do next. Are we going to continue to occupy the space, or are we going to leave? So we were having a meeting about it, and there was a young woman who was keeping the speakers list, right, so that people get on the speakers list and say what they want to say. And so we're having our meeting, and then Officer Dumbfuck barges in and starts reading off this long list of rules that we're supposed to follow if we're going to be staying there.
Yeah, okay.
And so this young woman who had the list, she kind of just speaks up and says, excuse me, you're not on the speakers list. This guy was pissed. He's barging into our meeting trying to cut on our speakers list. No way. And so everybody starts jeering him again. You suck, boo, whatever. And so we let this guy, kind of, we're like, we're going to take your list and we're going to look at it and we'll get back to you on it. And so there's kind of not a lot more to the story. It got to be the next day. We did end up spending the night there. And the next day, it was basically, this is when the Madison police came in, and they're used to kind of dealing with like civil disobedience type stuff up there.
Okay.
So they're just like, look, everybody's leaving this place. It's going to be that way. If you want to leave of your own accord, do that. If you want to be arrested, we'll do that, right? It's like they're just giving you the option.
Right. Here's the ways to leave this today. Here's the situation.
Right. Yeah, you can leave. You can either take it's like, I'm going to get you, sucker.
Augustus Love can walk out of this door, or else we're going to book you with your Christian name.
Right. So we kind of had a meeting, and it got pretty contentious, and there was kind of this scuffle with Officer Dipshit who tried to come in the back door. And so we just took that as kind of the opportunity to kind of like cut the thing off. Because, I mean, we were just a bunch of kids. We didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. We didn't have a plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and getting arrested, I mean, it shouldn't be your goal to get arrested. No. You know?
Change is the goal.
You would want to not get arrested. That's the goal.
And so it ended up kind of anticlimactic. But the thing the broader point that I want to make about this is that Homeland Security has been using Border Patrol, ICE, etc., as a goon squad since back in the day. So when it started happening up in Portland, I'm like, well, this doesn't surprise me at all.
Right.
Yeah. I believe it.
And furthermore, right, these forces that were put in place to be domestic information gathering, right? Maybe one day they're tracking immigrants. Maybe the next day they're tracking anarchists, you know?
No, I think they're definitely going to be tracking anarchists.
Yeah, these institutions, they survived the Obama administration. 8 years, and Obama couldn't dismantle any of the national security state that the Republicans had built. And then it's time for him to leave office, and he just gives the keys to Trump.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, I agree.
And so now, right, so think of it this way. For every cop that's out on the street of Portland swinging a stick or shooting people with tear gas, there are multiple cops sitting in front of computers providing support services and tracking people, because tracking people is what this agency does. So I'm kind of wonder if maybe one day I'm going to get picked up in an unmarked van, and in that van will be a bunch of Department of Homeland Security officers to ask me, are you Augustus Love?
We know you. We have a file on you back in DHS, Augustus Love.
Yeah, we got a whole thing.
Tricks.
It's going to be like that old tater salad joke.
Yeah.
It's just going to come back to me one day. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's great, man. But I mean, I love that story.
It's a good story. Also, like trying to make sense of what they're doing now and connecting the dots that like they still are just so inept and just don't know what they're doing, and people are just paid to show up and monitor this shit, and I think that I feel the tactics have evolved since 2004, and we're at a very different place, and really the important part is to have something to do besides get arrested.
Yeah.
To have to have a plan, like it is happening more effectively, and defund the police was a very popular campaign over the summer so far, but it is important to just have something to go after instead of just getting abused by the fucking police and paying bail bonds people.
Yeah, that is always, it seems like there's a certain groups of people who think that the goal is to get arrested, and you're like
a macho manner, like that's just a really stupid idea.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you get
I don't want to get arrested.
Matt that got arrested in Memphis, Tennessee, like I appreciate the struggle, but he got pushed to that point. It wasn't a matter of like choosing to get arrested for no good goddamn reason.
No.
Breonna Taylor, they're opening an investigation now. That's what he was down there for.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree. But I just want to say that, once again, I'm an old person. I've been kind of doing this stuff a long time. But it's kind of like, even if the protest or the action, the direct action that you choose to do doesn't kind of work out in the moment, you still got to remember that connecting with those people in the moment and, kind of building those kinds of bonds are actually what persist.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, and
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you got to know that getting in trouble isn't real. I mean, you can cross the line and they'll put you in jail for a very long time. But at the same time, if it's a mass action, if there's hundreds of people, if there's a couple hundred people that do an action, they can't book you like you're individual criminals or anything like that. Like there is, there's a lot of annoyance and bureaucracy that comes with it, but we've also moved in a direction where there's bail funds and there's ways to alleviate a lot of that stuff, and so if you're the type that doesn't mind getting arrested on a political action, like you can do it all the time. Like it's not that bad if once you get comfortable with it.
Absolutely.
Like to be
and even if you
be on the wrong side of the police.
Union,
like the wrong side being like to be against the police for the first time. We have definitely a culture that raises us up, venerating the police, and like to the first time that you're just like they're wrong and I'm standing against it, it changes you. It's an important you have to make that first step into it, and then from there it just becomes way more easier to navigate once you get over that initial apprehension of what exactly you're going to do to help out.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to go. That's the story of how I called her a dumb fuck.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, old man. Thank you, old man, for calling.
Good night.
Yeah.
Metallurgist, good call. I'm gonna write that number down. That was a good call.
Yeah.
What's funny talking about old man stuff is through watching Formula One, I've started listening to motorsports and auto sports podcasts. And a lot of times they're like British men in their 40s to 50s. And I don't know what they're saying. And it all comes off incredibly boring.
Yeah.
And I have to understand that that's a part of what we do too.
Yeah.
Is that like they're like, you don't remember Pishy Poshy's Treehouse? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess you're a bit older for that then. Like they're talking to 20-year-olds about like old cartoon shows they watch that nobody knows about, or they'll make a reference to things and they do all this banter and they're having a good time just saying like, you know, I mean, you're not any prettier than a dog's arse. You're just saying dumb shit and like,
Yeah.
who would like this? But it
British
works.
people.
Yeah. Other old men want to hear this.
Yeah.
When Tom on the Trillbillies talks about the Dairy Queen guys, like that is definitely like a hardcore crew of just banter. People that can talk for 3 hours that is not interesting or beneficial and does nothing. Just bloviating. Just spreading words. When Jake was here for the variety show, we went to White Castle and there was a council of men, 7 of them, that just hang out at White Castle all day long and talk about, you know, the neighborhood problems and issues and politics, and they're just like holding court. It's like a salon.
Yes.
And,
but it's a White Castle, which is more depressing.
Or a Dairy Queen.
Yeah.
McDonald's breakfast also used to be a hot spot for that. I mean, I'm not there yet, but I am slipping into like, you know what? I'm going to talk about like fucking Ren and Stimpy or Dino Saucers or MASH or like any old stuff. I'm just going to just wade right into it. And anyone that doesn't know, they can just think I'm an old fuddy-duddy and write me off.
Yeah. If Brett brings up Dino Saucers, then you just fast forward 15
just go
seconds.
ahead, yeah.
I didn't watch Dino Saucers.
Fucking
Too
love
late
Dino
for me.
Saucers,
Yeah.
dude. It was
Too
so
late.
good. Fuck.
Yeah.
Then nostalgia never gets it right. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to tonight?
Hey, is it me?
Yeah.
You would know.
Hey, my name is Cayenne. I've called in once before, like probably like 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, you're 740.
Pronouns.
Yeah,
y'all know.
Great chili recipe too.
I've interacted with y'all a couple times. But no, I called in. I told the story about the person who got mangled at the salt yard in Columbus last time I got called in. But I was just calling in because I heard Brian talk about on the thing in the Q&A episode, I believe, talking about moving to Milwaukee, and I am an Ohio to Milwaukee transplant now. And Brian, it's a good place to move to. I'm going to be honest.
I like it there.
You're from Milwaukee?
No, from Ohio.
No, I'm from. Do y'all know Ostrander?
You moved?
Yeah.
I didn't know you moved.
Yes. Yeah, I moved up. I live up in Milwaukee now.
Oh, you're supposed to check in with the Street Fight community before you leave. It's blood in, blood out.
Yeah, so I moved up. I lived in Ostrander / Delaware for a long time, and then I moved up to Kent, Ohio, and now I live up in Milwaukee. But Brian, you mentioned moving up here, and it's a good place. It's a good place to live. I like it up here a lot. So
I like that city quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a great.
I mean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, y'all go ahead. Sorry, I was like.
Well, I was gonna say. I mean, when we talked about with the Q&A, one thing I forgot to mention was that like the vegan food up there is so on point. Where like Brian could get like a fucking open face sandwich with 3/4 pounds of beef on top of it, and then they would have like a vegan version right next to it. Like they were really. Yeah. It feels like it kind of the charm of like Milwaukee is that it's just that Midwestern place, and it felt like a mom whose child was like, oh, I'm vegetarian now, and they're like, well, I'm gonna still make you like a fucking mincemeat pie. Like you're still gonna eat sloppy joes.
Everybody who I've met, who I've talked about Milwaukee to here, I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's like a less depressing version of Ohio, because it's not really in the Rust Belt the same way that any of the cities that I've ever lived in are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the lakes there.
It doesn't have the same kind of sense of like desperation.
Yeah, there's a lake there. There's trees everywhere. It's a very lush place, and the neighborhoods are so fucking cool. I really like it there.
It's really deeply segregated here is the bad thing.
Most places.
I mean, it is here too.
Columbus is too.
Yeah, because Columbus is more so gentrified from what I recall. Like, I used to work down at the Salt Yard, which is near Morse Road. and that's like really the only like truly like segregated area. The rest of it is just being like really, really deeply gentrified. Whereas here, there's not as much gentrification, but there's a lot of segregation, which is kind of like pick your poison in terms of racism, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, every city is segregated.
Yeah, you find out. I mean, through redlining and the history of it. I mean, there's a wrong side of the tracks in Columbus for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to call, because I wanted to say, Brian, if you ever did get the urge to move to Milwaukee, I really like it here, and I'm an Ohio transplant as well. So, you know, it's very welcoming to us here. Although you do have to deal with a decent amount of Ohio slander.
That's
People
fine.
talk shit about Ohio there?
I mean, they do everywhere, really.
Yeah, they do. Once you're out of Ohio, you realize how much people talk shit about Ohio, which is wild, because I always grew up with everybody kind of talking shit about it, but they were all from it, so it was like lovingly talking shit.
Yeah,
you're
allowed. We're allowed to say it.
But yeah, like when people here say that they hate Ohio, I'm like, hey, you don't get to say that.
Yeah. Hey, you can't hate it. You're not even there.
Exactly.
What's the
It's one thing.
digs?
But the other thing I was going to call in was I was going to talk to, because Brett one time, I think it was about a month ago, you said something about new metal sucking because you've listened to a lot of older metal recently.
Yes.
I was going to push back really hard on that.
Okay, go for it. Go off.
Because I think new metal is an infinitely more interesting genre than any other form of heavy metal.
Oh.
Because it draws significantly more influence from funk and hip hop, which I think are like the predominant genres of this generation in terms of influence. And I think that it actually holds more relevance than it maybe even did at the time. And I also think that, you know, there's a certain amount of femininity in like as a woman like calling in. There's a certain amount of femininity in most new metal, Limp Bizkit notwithstanding.
Yeah, they're the wrong one.
Present. Yeah, that is not present in any sort of classical metal, and I think that it was one of the genres. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, the two bands, like all of my friends listened to new metal and stuff, but like the two bands that like were not cool to listen to were Limp Bizkit and Korn, which are like the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Because they were too emotional.
Well,
and I don't think that that's like a thing that really exists in like most metal, where people can be as vulnerable as they're able to be in new metal.
You know what? I think you have some great points there. I absolutely agree. When I saw Korn a couple years back, I was impressed that there was a huge diversity in the crowd and people that were like openly weeping to the songs. And I came to understood how closely Jonathan Davis had struck a nerve for like so many people. So I agree.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, but because I know Brian does the POD cast, and then me and my friend do a different new metal podcast called Corn Fed, which we call the new metal podcast for girls. And
hey, girls can listen to my new to the POD cast. Jeez.
We do. Don't worry, we listen to it too. But, you know, obviously, but we've talked about that like a decent amount of times about how it's a much more like emotionally vulnerable genre than a lot of heavier music is, which I think kind of adds like a certain complexity to it. And a lot of it, we talked about hybrid theory for our first episode, and we talked about how, you know, it was kind of like maligned amongst my friend group as being too kind of vulnerable, and it had this kind of, even though it's obviously by a bunch of dudes, it has this kind of femininity to it of being like talked over and being kind of ignored and stuff like that. Specifically, I mean, like One Step Closer has to like shut up when I'm talking to you, which is like I think the anthem of every single woman who's ever lived.
Yeah, I mean, I made fun of that album too. You know, like I didn't like. I maybe thought Linkin Park was too vulnerable at the time too, but it's really funny that I thought that because Korn is. I mean, you don't get much more vulnerable than like Korn. The guy cries on the first four albums.
Like Daddy, or you know, like a bunch of different songs. He's a very vulnerable man.
Yeah. Well, I remember.
I mean, like even like.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say
this is Ohio Interactions.
Yeah. I I mean, I do remember Linkin Park when that came in. It did seem like it was a later wave of things that like I was against, but I have definitely turned the tide, and I do enjoy Linkin Park, and I fucking love the hybrid theory, the one they did with Jay-Z. I still listen to that when I run. If I run or lift weights, like definitely some hybrid theory is coming on. But to clarify my opinion on nu metal, it's simply that I understand why it sucks, because I have listened to all of the stuff that led up to it, and I enjoy solos and I enjoy musicality, and there are the themes that I like don't have vulnerability, and all the metal leading up to that, I can see how you would feel betrayed, how this feels completely alien when they got rid of all of the solos and they just started doing drop D, and it became all of these things where you just felt weak or like vulnerable. So I do not think that nu metal sucks. I enjoy it. I just can't understand how a bunch of people in 1995 were like, oh my god, nu metal fucking sucks. You know, like this new shit sucks ass.
I read an article recently about Life of Agony, and they were talking about how Korn ruined Life of Agony's career.
Oh, they toured with them. Yeah, I went to that show. I saw Korn with Life of Agony.
Yeah, which I mean, I love Life of Agony. Like, as a trans woman, like, you know, Mina, she is, like, one of the greatest vocalists ever, and did so much, you know, like, in terms of, like, kind of aggressive woman, trans woman, like, representation.
I didn't know. I think it was... I didn't even know it was a trans woman in Life of Agony.
Yeah, because she came out significantly after Life of Agony was the thing, because they were early 90s, and I think she came out in 2011.
Yeah, and when they toured with Korn, when I saw them with Korn, I thought Whitfield Crane was their lead singer from Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah, you are correct, because she actually left the band after they recorded Ugly. She left Life of Agony and did a solo career, and they recruited him instead, and it's like, it doesn't match their music at all to have him kind of singing these like deeply personal songs.
It's a weird choice that they picked him, but I mean, Life of Agony has some heavy hitters in there. He was
because they could have been huge.
Yeah, they got Sal Abruscato, who is in Typo Negative, which is, you know, my favorite band ever. Now.
Well, that's because you're an evil dude.
I am very evil now. I didn't know he was in Typo Negative. They had man, I should check out Life of Agony. I didn't know they had so many. They were such a influential band.
Yeah, no, definitely listen to River Runs Red. Is kind of their most famous album, I think, and everybody kind of agrees that it's their best.
Yeah,
and I think you would like it a lot, Brian.
Yeah. How did Korn ruin them, though? What was that part?
But sorry, what?
I mean, what did they say about Korn now?
So basically, what the article that I read was saying was that Life of Agony was kind of positioned to be the next big metal band, and then Korn came around and completely changed the sound of metal to the point where they became obsolete.
Yeah,
because I mean, they were still kind of clinging to like that, like early '90s, like hardcore metal sound.
Yeah, that does make sense, because I remember hating Life of Agony when I saw them opening for Korn. I don't remember who all was playing, but I remember like I was kind of excited, but they sounded, you know, they didn't sound like the kind of stuff I was into, which at the time was really only Korn. I didn't listen to any other bands at all, really. I mean, I was into like Pantera and stuff, but like once Korn came out, I was a nu metal fan without any bands. You know, there was only the one, so I would give people like a chance.
A couple years before any other real nu metal bands came out, because I think probably the next one was maybe, because when did Cold Chamber's first album come out? Because that was in '96.
I mean, nothing really hit, I don't think, until like 1996 or 97. I would say like nothing else really hit. There was a few years there where all you listened to was, you were like, I listen to Korn, and that's the kind of music I like, is Korn. There's no other musics. Wow, I'm really interested in Life of Agony, though. I got to check them out now. I had no idea.
Yeah, River Runs Red is a really sad album, but it's very, very good, and I think you would like it. It's got actually, Brett, I think you would like it too, because it has guitar solos, and it has a lot of that influence of like classical metal, and a lot of that kind of stuff. But the other thing that I was calling in to talk about is just like, because I think, you know, we all kind of cover just generally how bad working is in general, but I think something that's not touched about is the mental effect that working in manual labor can have on people.
Mm-hmm.
And more specifically, right now I work in a garage door warehouse. And there's something very, very particularly depressing about working somewhere that you know you'll never be able to afford the product that you're kind of moving on the salary that they pay you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'll never be able to afford a house or anything like that, or a new garage or anything like that. So, you know, working somewhere where that's all I'm doing every day is a particular form of depressing that I don't think it's covered enough.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people that like work at restaurants that can't afford to eat at a restaurant, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. There's somebody who is one of my friends who lives here and works at, you know, she works at kind of like y'all know the North Market in Columbus?
Yeah.
It's kind of the similar deal here. And she works there, and, you know, she gets a discount for her food and everything, but it's still kind of this idea of, like, you can't just go to one of those places that you work near and buy a meal there, because it's, like, all, like, you know, like $10-11 for a meal, and you're not getting paid enough for that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And it can be very depressing as a worker to just realize that, like, I'm getting paid to do something for people who make significantly more than me.
Right, and there's a weird disconnect, like fast food, like they'll sell you a hamburger for $1, but then you go to like some sort of market and they charge you $11 for the hamburger, and it's like, why didn't anybody making the hamburger get benefit from this? How did nobody?
Exactly.
Only the owner benefited from charging 10 times more than a McDonald's hamburger.
Yeah, I got an email for, like, you should apply to this job, and it was as an assembler, and you get paid per piece of what you assemble. And all the reviews for the employer were like, yeah, you just get paid for what you make, and you make, like, somebody said they only made $300 a week there, even though they were doing, like, backbreaking labor. And It's like, you know, you're assembling, like, grills and all this stuff for, like, rich families who just have, like, patios and shit like that. But you're never going to be able to be up to their level.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that does suck also. That you're working in a garage door warehouse. You should be making enough to own a house with a garage, I think.
Because, you know, yeah, I've talked about it before where, you know, I wouldn't mind doing this kind of work if I thought I could ever actually make a living on it. Manual labor is pretty much all I've known for my whole life, and if I thought I was able to make a living and retire on it, I wouldn't mind doing that for, you know, like 45 years or something.
That was all I wanted.
Once you realize that you're going to be doing it until the day you die, it becomes a much different proposition for you.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the fucked up thing we have about work and labor in this country is that, like, if no one will pay you for it, it's intended to get you off your ass. Like, if no one will pay you to build garage doors, that means you're not supposed to be a garage door builder. You're supposed to open a garage door building company instead. And somehow there's going to be hundreds of thousands of garage door magnates, you know, all over the country making, you know, 6-figure fucking incomes.
Yeah, because, like, the people who work in the office where I work, you know, they make like $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
But then literally right next door in the warehouse, you know, we're making like $30,000 a year, which is not sustainable if you want to actually live a decent life.
Yeah, and we don't get to have these conversations out loud. I mean, the only thing you hear is find a new job or go somewhere better, and there is literally statistically there's not enough for all of us to get everything. Like, I think that was one of my big introductions into anti-capitalism, was looking at just numbers and statistics and saying, like, a certain amount of us have to be fucking poor.
Yeah.
Actually, most of us have to be fucking working poor. Like, there's no way that everyone can have stability if someone's going to have, multiple homes and cars and have $1 trillion.
Exactly. Like, it's just not sustainable in any sense of the word. Because, I mean, even, I don't like to use their rhetoric, but even like fucking like economy people, it's like you have to realize that if the significant portion of the population isn't able to contribute to the economy, something is deeply fucked up in your system.
Well, I was talking to Brian too about how this COVID thing, it really feels like people that got $20 to their name are giving $5 to people that don't have any money. Like, we're bailing each other out. Like, we're all sending each other the same $100 fucking dollars over and over again so that we don't lose our fucking houses and jobs and stations in life. And that's all we got is like that regular people that have nothing will give more than any rich person, would.
The most generous people I've ever met in my life are always other working class people. I saw a tweet, like, this was maybe like a year ago or something, but it was like, working class people will lend you $20 and be like, oh, just buy me a 6-pack later, like in like a couple months or something when you can. And then it's like rich people will be like, oh, yeah, you actually cost me $5.36 in gas. I'm expecting that tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds of fucking rich kids that will calculate how much gas you used on something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the best that we got is that it's us. It's mostly us. It's mostly working people. Like, most of us are getting fucked over, and most of us have like a basic class consciousness. Maybe not outwardly, but we know it that we're part of the forgotten people that like don't get to have stability in their lives.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's like a very common thing, I think, is, we go from this idea of, you're told if you work hard enough as a kid that you can make your own way through, and then as you get older and older, you get more and more disillusioned with that, and you realize you just have to look out for the people who are kind of in the same position as you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. And new metal for life is what I say.
Yeah, new metal is definitely the best. Really quick, I'll plug again, if anybody wants to listen to the Corn-Fed podcast.
Is that with a K?
Yep. And, well, technically we have a backwards R, but I don't think it shows up on Spotify. So.
No, it won't.
It matters to real ones.
It matters to everybody else.
Yeah. So, well, y'all have a great night.
You too.
Thanks for taking the call, and, take care.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good night.
Love to hear from the locals that moved to Milwaukee.
Yep. All right.
All right. We got to jump in. You want to do it?
Sure.
We got time. We started late.
I feel like nauseous right now, weirdly. I don't know what's going on, but let's take this jump in.
I mean, if you throw up on camera, it'll be a good clip.
Yeah, I don't mind throwing up. I just, it's weird. We got jump in?
I hit talk. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who are we talking to?
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Is this me?
It's you.
You would know.
Oh, I am here. I did not expect to actually get on.
You're on.
Oh, well, that's great. I know I had hit up earlier, getting into metal, hit up you guys on Twitter and stuff like that. So that's been a great experience.
Good.
Right on. You listened to some of it?
Yeah, no, a lot of it. I've literally not, like, the Spotify playlist has been just going.
You enjoying it?
Oh, I am absolutely enjoying it. I'm looking forward to, I think you said you were doing a metal podcast.
Yeah, on the Patreon, we're doing a different genre every week. So there will be a new one next week. We don't know what yet, but it'll be out next week.
Yeah, no, I'm digging it. So I did not know I liked metal that much. So, but besides that, I guess one thing that I was sort of questioning and wanted to call in on is, how do you deal with sort of moral quandaries about your job, and how you sort of dig into that? Like, I guess because I sort of have a job that is not well aligned with my moral beliefs, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
That makes sense.
but it obviously puts food on the table. It pays me very, very, very well. But I don't know how I sort of dig into that sort of moral quandary about that.
Well, I mean, there are ways to do things outside of work. There's ways to spend your money to help out with more radical causes.
I've upped my Patreon and stuff like that since I've gotten jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, even just like for like GoFundMe's. There are a lot of GoFundMe's for transitioning, but also just being a body out there. If there's something going on, if you can get in front of it. I mean, I don't think your job like defines who you are. Just don't let it define who you are as a person.
Also, I mean, one thing I know is that life is super long. Like, I've already lived half of one, and I've got a whole nother half to go. And, like, that is so much fucking time to think about. And if you are having these kind of moral quandaries, you have the money and you're doing well at your job, you could try to pivot into something that makes more sense to you. I always want people that hate their jobs and that are miserable. The first thing I want them to do is come up with a plan. Like, if it's just set aside $100 a month until 1 year from now, you have enough to take a month off or whatever it is. Like, you need to figure out if you want to make a change or not. But, making it a goal to be out of your field in the next 18 months or 5 years or whatever it may be, there's definitely a way to plan to do things in a different way and, have less money. Sometimes there's a lot of money and it makes sense to have a lot of money, but if it makes you feel bad, it's not always good to have a lot of money. Like, it works both ways.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm in California.
No, I mean, where are you at, like, in your life? Do you, like, does it bother you? Or, like, do you really want to make a change with what you do for your job? Or do you prefer to just get the money that you're making and figure something else out?
So I'm just graduating law school, which sort of know how law school works. But I sort of got a job offer that's going to pay me ridiculous amounts of money. And I don't know how comfortable I am with that.
That's great. I mean, that's experience. It's really comes down to experience. And if you're coming out of college and you have a job opportunity, I think you should get the experience so that people know you can hold down a job and that you're reliable and that you can do all these things that are expected of you. But, like I said at the beginning, like, just use this as a foundation to figure out where the rest of your life is going to go, because you can make friends with radical people and you can start orienting yourself in a direction that isn't so straight-laced and that isn't so that doesn't make you feel unfulfilled. You have to just figure out what would make you the most happy and how to get to your position from where you're at right now, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let everybody else get on and stuff like that.
Yeah, have a great night.
Thanks, appreciate it.
You too.
We got another jump in. You want to do it?
Sure.
We should. We're on the clock.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the thing about it is, like, I think that, like, feeling bad about what you do for your job is not helpful to anybody. I don't think that you're going to benefit from it. But if you've established that, like, your job makes you feel unfulfilled or makes you feel like you're doing the wrong thing or that you've betrayed the working class, whatever it may be, all that means is that you just have to triangulate something in the horizon, something in the future that can utilize your skills. Because, like, being a lawyer has a lot of skills. Being customer service, being logistics. There are so many valuable things that you pick up working at some of these shitty jobs that can translate to more fulfilling endeavors.
Yeah.
You can find your position, you know, at a place that works for you, that is comfortable, and that doesn't make you feel like you're selling your soul.
Exactly.
And
that's
not me promising like capitalism saving everybody. I'm just saying that, like, personally, the world is not going to orient itself in a way that makes you happy. So until you prioritize your own happiness, and once again, I think your own happiness should be focused on helping people.
Yeah.
Like, part of being in this leftist sphere is pointing yourself in the direction towards justice, towards radicalism, and finding out what happens. I think you just have to be comfortable with the mystery of the world and what comes next once you have decided to be fully out loud and proud, openly fucking radical person.
Yep.
And there's a lot of skills that come from those square jobs that they need at other places.
Yeah. Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Let's see this jump in. Let's see this jump in.
All
All
right.
right. To say. Thanks for calling Street Fight. Who's jumping in tonight?
Hey, I think it's me.
Hey,
I'm Angela.
Hey, Angela, how's it going?
Oh, you know, another day, another dollar, another mile. I'm a truck driver.
Ah,
and it's a shitty
okay.
job.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, truck
Yeah.
driver's a cool job, but I mean, if you're doing it, you don't like it, I get it.
Well, the problem that we both, my girlfriend and I know, make the jokes, guys. Dyke driving a truck, funny, okay?
That's for you. That's your
cool. You guys
privilege.
could laugh.
That's your privilege, not
You
ours.
guys could laugh. I mean, my thing is, I've been doing it over like probably 11, 12 years, and she's been doing it 18. And through this COVID stuff and all the shit that's going on, this might get a little dark, and I apologize for that. But I'm kind of like, what the fuck are we saving here? We're bringing supplies. People aren't wearing masks. People don't give a shit about, you know, because we hear it. Truck drivers, other places we go to. Every truck stop has signs, wear masks. Everybody's going in there without them. Don't give a shit about the employees that work there or each other or themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the question I'm asking is, does a species that no longer cares about its survival even deserve to live? Guys, I mean, you know, it's today our company left us in 100-degree heat for 13 hours with a breakdown. Didn't give a shit. We have 2 dogs, and that's 2 in the truck, just sweltering in the heat, waiting for them. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I listen to your podcast. I listen to Chapo, and I listen to Truanon, and you guys actually give solutions. But I hear a lot of people talking about shit and bitching, and I'm like, but what are we going to do?
Yeah, it's. I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
It's really tough. No, I know what you mean. There's a club of people that have decided that they don't care about the mask or they're not going to do that, and everyone just has to like follow along with it, and it isn't benefiting anybody like to be tougher than each other here. You know, it makes sense to just follow the guidelines.
But it's not even tough not to wear a mask. Like, there's nothing about not wearing a mask that makes you tough.
I'm ready to die, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I am too. But I wear a mask because I don't want other people to die. You know?
Right.
Like, that's the whole point of it. I wish we could teach people that that's the goddamn thing. Sure, yeah, you're ready to die for your freedom. That's great. We're all ready to fucking die at this point. It sucks shit out there. But, like, let's not kill people that aren't ready to die. That's all we're fucking asking, you know?
Yeah.
And you can see, I would imagine that if you get out the truck stop, I mean, the thing about the like truck stops and stuff like that is that a lot of them are in rural areas, and I do think there is a certain amount of like, I think people in rural areas think they're safe.
Sure.
And, the doctor that actually, Dr. Deborah Birx actually was just on TV. It just came up across Twitter while we were recording, where she said it's everywhere now. It's like there's no part of the country that's safe. And if you're in a place with an outbreak, it's really not safe. And I mean, basically, if you're in a city, you're in a place with an outbreak at this point. There's no cities that are safe now. So
I think it's unfortunate also that it's just this brand of, it is really a toxic masculinity thing where you don't have a care for your life or health, and that you put it all on the line as something to be impressive. And I don't think that is. Like, I think that part of my, like, beta male awakening as a youth was, like, I don't think dying is, like, something that deserves valor. Like, I don't think that, like, ending your life shortly for most reasons is not worth it, Like, there's no... Like, dying over COVID because you didn't want to wear a mask is a very stupid idea.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know how it happened. Well, I do know how it happened. The worst, most bad faith humans in the world started yelling to their people, and they just listen. They just do it, It's funny because they feel like this is like rolling coal all over again, right? This is this thing where, like, they feel like not wearing a mask is the Boston Tea Party. Like, they're doing something that in 100 years people are going to be like, there were a few people, there 3% of the population that said, I'm not going to fucking wear a mask, and they didn't, and they're all dead, but they all ended up dying. But it's so weird, man. That's like when Herman Cain died. It was really like one of those things that were like, he went to that fucking rally.
Yeah.
Like, all of those people are just going to these rallies and shit, and they're just going to die. They just decided, I'm so stupid that I'm going to go and get killed because I can't be bothered to care about people. I can't even figure it out, dude.
But
I can't even put myself in the mind of the anti-mask people. I used to be able to put myself in the mind of all kinds of conservative people. I can't even figure it out in my own head.
See, but I don't know. I wonder how much.
I can tell you guys what they're saying.
Yeah, let me know.
They know, they have it. They have it all figured out. We hear it we're actually at our terminal right now in Oklahoma City. They have it all figured out. They already know. It's bullshit. There's stuff out there. Turmeric. And I take turmeric, but I don't think it's going to beat COVID, okay?
Yeah.
Or that shit that Trump was peddling. Know, like, well, if I get it, there's stuff out there. They're just lying. That's the big thing. They're lying about how bad it is. They're lying about the amount of people, all the numbers. That's fake, right? And they know it. They know they have all the answers. Or God will protect them. And I've reminded somebody not too long ago, well, he didn't do it COVID already beat God. Herman Cain, that dude was a Christian.
Yeah.
God lost.
A ton of Christians are dead right now.
There was
I know.
I shared a story from a Facebook page a few weeks ago, and this person wrote this like satirical thing where they're like a grandma in 2045 or something, and they're talking to their kids about how they started making everybody wear masks, and now we have to hide the Bible, and now like we're not allowed to be American and patriotism was outlawed. But somebody commented on that and said, I actually have a Spanish flu story in my family. My great aunt died from it because she thought God would protect her. Like that's the 1918 flu. Yeah. People think that they're immortal.
And it's fucking.
And here we are in 2020, and people still believe this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the whole, all of it. I mean, even on because you guys are definitely not liberals. like your traditional established Democrat bullshit. I have that. I've got real conservative family that are Trump supporters and Bible thumpers. I'm from California originally, and then I've got the other liberal Democrat establishment. On the other side, they're saying things like, no, you can't. If black people are offended, like I'm on their side, but if they're offended about the Star Spangled Banner, we can't change everything. And I'm like, no, you don't get to say.
Yeah. Yeah, the libs do.
We're white.
The libs make choice. The libs love to make choices for. I mean, they're very much compromise. They always say it's a compromise. So you always have to like. You're always bargaining away before anybody even tries to take something.
They love to head off any changes at the path.
Yeah,
like, they really love to step in and be like, "Well, we're not going to like do anything like that's actually worthwhile." What kind of useless reforms can we do over this?
Yeah, my aunt, I'm like I said, I was born in 71, so I'm a Gen Xer, and I am not trying to defend my generation. We suck. I don't, but my generation sucks. We dropped the ball. I mean, when I see millennials and Gen Zers and I listen to you guys talk, I want to apologize to you guys.
Well, I'm Gen X. I'm a Gen X guy. I think.
You are? Okay.
I'm 41.
Oh, yeah, you probably are at the tail end.
Yeah, I was into Nirvana. You know, I listened to a lot of. I had Unplugged in New York on CD. Okay, I'm a big Gen Xer. I watched the movie Singles 100 million times. Great movie, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, we dropped the ball on a lot of things, but there was a lot. We didn't have the. I'm not making excuses, but we didn't have the information trade. I mean, if we were told, we were fed the propaganda, right? We didn't have the internet. We didn't have shit.
Yeah.
But once you become aware of it, then I mean, can you cuss on the show? I probably already have.
Yeah.
Say something crazy.
Fucking change. Don't keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. Where we're at today, because everybody's dropped the ball. My aunt will sit there, she's a baby boomer, and she'll be like, well, what are you, a Marxist now? And I'm like, look, this shit that we're doing, I mean, I don't have kids. I don't have a stake in this, right? I don't have to, it's not my future or my offspring's future I'm worried about. It's humanity's, other people that I don't know. I don't know you guys. I don't know the people that are Bible thumping and I don't need to wear a mask. I don't know these people, but they're still human beings. Even though I don't like them, they're still human beings. They're going to have to live in a world that we're leaving behind.
Yeah.
That we're trashing. And that's what I'm asking myself. I'm like, what? We're bringing supplies to places, and I'm like, nobody. It's almost like it's like this. There's this huge disconnect in every respect, economically, socially, pandemically, you name it. It feels like end of days shit.
Yeah.
And we're just self-destructing and fighting each other instead of, the people who sit there and defend the economy. I'm like, you're on Jeff Bezos' side? Fuck that dude.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Who did that? Who did that? Did Zuckerberg do it? Did Bezos? No, they got money, lots of money invested in them to start their companies. Anybody give you guys a bunch of money to start Street Fight Radio?
No. Well,
I doubt that.
And then we're self-made, actually, and we're going conservative now.
So I'm sorry, I'm kind of ranty. It's just been
okay.
We drove through California. I mean, we just missed the fires out there. We just were on I-10 on the way out here. Barely missed that. And I'm just like, please, God. I don't believe in God, but I'm just saying lately, we haven't had enough yet. Please be a butthole and shit on us some more because we haven't had enough yet.
Yeah,
there's storms in Florida. There's, pandemic. There's civil unrest. Just give us more, please.
It's
please.
Frustrating. It absolutely is frustrating, and there's no reason for I don't like a lot of the conservative lifestyle. I started watching NASCAR and I hate every ounce of fucking NASCAR, but at the same time I don't want to end these people's lifestyles, and I don't think that what they're doing would cost anything compared to what we're paying for to keep the American government and all of the elite people that benefit from it around. You know, the rest of us just want fucking apples and bananas at the grocery store. Like, that's it. There's not, like, we aren't having, there's no high demands from your average person. And they've gained so much from us hating each other and fighting each other. And the mask thing has just been like this really good culture war to make it so that we can't work together, you know?
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I don't know if you guys, because I know that you guys got some. I've heard. I think it's Brian talk about his father-in-law, this big sour thing.
Yeah.
The gun thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I don't know where your family stands on the other side of it, but you've got these people that I've heard you guys talk about it, and I'm like, I mean, I just don't engage with mine at all. I don't know how you guys, but like. I mean, it's your father-in-law, so I guess you kind of have to. But I mean, my girlfriend's family. I explained to her. I was like, I'm not. And she's not happy with them either. But they've said some things. I'm not going to repeat them on here because I don't want to offend other people. But I'm like, I just can't be around that.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I'm kind of feisty, and it won't go well.
That's the decision you got to make. I mean, there is. For the sake of being family, there's like this old world thing where like I will put up with the most, but at the same time I understand like a lot of these people are arguing with liberal straw men on the internet. They really don't ever have somebody like me in their face that is willing to say things that they don't have like a canned response to from a meme.
Yeah. Well, and you guys, I mean, I actually found out about you guys through Chapo, and so I've been listening to you guys. I've kind of like gotten off puck because they just fire me. You guys fire me up, and then and TrueAnon is freaking me the hell out. I'm like, oh my god, I can't. They're all creeps, like really bad. You already knew they were bad, but you're like, Jesus, these guys are like really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, when your podcast is called the Jeffrey Epstein podcast. I start showing these lines of things, and it's not, it's not a bunch of made up shit or conspiracy stuff. I mean, they've got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And pictures and whatnot. But you get to a point where you're just like, I don't know. I applaud you guys because I don't know how you guys do this kind of stuff every week. You guys, I know you guys went to the protest there in Columbus. Which thank you, because my ass, if I wasn't in the truck, would be out there doing it. I figured the best way we could contribute to helping was bringing like food and supplies and risking our own asses out here to kind of do that. But honestly, like you guys are like probably the loudest voices though about overthrow it all.
Yeah, well that's our little niche is overthrow it all.
Start over.
End it. Burn it down.
I do trust everybody. Really, those protests, the first couple nights of the George Floyd protest, it was so wild that like I could tell everybody out there wanted to get rid of the entire government, and I trusted them way more than the fucking government. Like I was there with them. Like we have the whole world to win, and it's absolutely true. I've heard that phrase, and it's absolutely true.
Well, and I mean, that, like, I don't know. I know you guys, I'm sure, saw the video. I can't watch it again. And then now we've got police. I guess they left Portland. I heard they left Portland.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's not being talked about. There's secret police snatching. What does that sound like to you guys? Police that aren't identified, grabbing people and throwing them into unmarked vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I actually mentioned that because I was actually thinking about, I posted something about it where I said, like, yeah, every other time in history this happened, it was bad, but this is the time where it's good that they're doing it. It's like, that's what I see from conservatives, and it's just like, you fucking would have been okay with slavery and you'd have been a great Nazi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember. I remember the Patriot Act passing. I remember the Department of Homeland Security. I remember being up all night reading stuff and telling people that these things would happen, And they thought I was a crackpot, you know. They thought I it didn't make any sense. It was stupid, and we found ourselves there. Like, it was absolutely open the door to it to someone like Donald Trump.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't think I was always like, this is I was always against the Patriot Act, but I always thought this is like catastrophic thinking, and then it was right. They were right the whole time, you know. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think that that was a big part of the whole reason to pass it. Is because they've been doing this, and that's why I'm so very anti that we just pay attention to our own shit here. Because if you've been following what we've been doing in other countries, it's just same shit, right? And eventually, people who think, oh, well, we do it to other people because we're defending freedom. No, eventually they're going to use it on you, even if you're white.
Yeah, they're going to use it on everybody.
The Confederate state, the Confederate state was actually run that way. You know, if you were poor and white in the South when all that stuff was going on, you weren't in a good place either. It was run like a police state. So, and here we are again. So it's just, I don't know. And I'm not even sure why I called in tonight. This is not usually my thing, but I was scrolling through. You guys, automated, but I got an email that the call-in show was going on, and I thought, well, because when I talk to people, I've got friends and stuff like that. They're good friends, and they're well-meaning, and they're pretty, they're more the establishment thing, right? You better vote for Biden, which I'm like, why? Fucker. He's not going to change anything. He's just going to look nice while doing it. So it's just nice to talk to people that are maybe as radical as my thinking is, because a lot of times I'm kind of viewed, as the little Marxist and kind of out there and a little too in everybody's face about stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think here's the other thing. Here in California, I think Joe Biden's going to take California, and he's very likely, I still think he's going to win the election anyway. So it's not like you're voting for Trump by not voting. You cannot vote, especially in California. I think. Well,
actually, I live now. I'm from California, but I actually live in Gerald, Texas, between Austin and Georgetown.
He ain't going to win. Biden's not going to win Texas.
Yeah. See?
So it doesn't matter. Well, thanks for calling in.
But I can't believe you didn't vote for Hillary. And I was like, that woman?
No.
And it's not because she's a woman. I'm a woman, and I'm all for that. Like, that would be great to see that, but not that one. Not her, ever.
I did not.
I asked her, do you know what she did in Honduras? What about Libya? Oh, well, the Libya thing. Oh, of course, let's make excuses. It's no different than what Bush did with weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Yeah.
So you guys can probably listen to a lot of podcasts, right?
No, that is what fucked me over, was that graduating when George Bush was the president and spending years of raking people over the coals for how awful he was as a president. Like, when Obama came in, it was literally just came down to, fuck, I have to keep the same goalposts. Like, I have to have the same energy with Obama that I had with Bush. Like, I have to say the shit is awful too,
Yeah, I mean, when shit's awful, it's awful. You have to be consistent about how awful it is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. We'd love to have you call back. It was a great one.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much for what you do. I appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic night.
Thank you.
And stay safe.
Good jumping.
You too. Yeah, that's the last jump in.
That's the
no more jump ins.
2 jump ins.
We're done.
We did our time.
We did 3 hours.
We will be back on Wednesday. We are Street Fight Radio. You can find the show on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to watch live, we do it 9 to midnight on Sunday nights, and then we do it 11 to midnight on Wednesday nights.
Something like that. I mean, sometimes earlier, sometimes later.
Yeah,
it just depends on what we're doing before we record.
Yeah, just find us on social media. We're at Street Fight WCRS on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Twitch, we are at Street Fight Radio if you want to follow along and subscribe to the channel. We will keep doing this and keep it rolling. Thank you to everybody that called in. That was a really good show tonight. I loved the call-ins. If you like the music, that was from Dreadnought. You can find them at dreadnoughtdenver.bandcamp.com. Also, consider donating $5, $10, $15, whatever you got, to the El Pueblo Fund. You can find them at by Googling El Pueblo Fund.
Yeah, fucking Google it. Jesus Christ.
I don't know how to say the name of the website. And then also remember that osmium is the heaviest metal. in existence. You can find more Street Fight Radio and our heavy metal podcast on patreon.com/Street Fight Radio. At the $5 a month level, we have the premium 100 million tons of steel heavy metal podcast. We did an intro episode. We had a doom metal episode with Tony and Alexander from the Minion Death Call podcast. And we're going to have even more exciting metal content coming your way on patreon.com/Street Fight Radio. The Metal Zine is up next too, I think. So lots of good stuff in the pipe. We will see you on Wednesday. Peace.